All right, we are live here at Fish North Georgia this Thursday night. Welcome to the Live Well, everyone. We're so glad you guys could join us tonight. Got a great show, a couple of really good guests tonight. We're going to be talking NPFL and then whatever, guys, you want to get into. You know how it works here. That's what we're going to do. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. What is it called? Smash that bell.
Smash that bell.
Smash that bell and everything. And follow Fish North Georgia on all our social media right there. So let's go ahead and let's take care of business, Alex, before we get into our guests right there. Trent and the guys over at Sonar Pros, the best, absolutely the best sonar installer in the state of Georgia, in the Southeast. You cannot do better than the guys over at Sonar Pros, 770-530-4505. They got a great new place over on Highway 369, and they got their winter seminar coming up this Sunday for high school and college students. It's free. Got a great lineup they're going to be talking with. Drew Cook, Drew Benton, Austin Felix, Buddy Gross, Patrick Walters, and Trent himself. They're going to be there from 12 to 5. For you old farts like me, if you want to go, you can go. It's $20 for you, but it's free for high school and college guys. So we appreciate the guys over at Sonar Pros. And then we got our buddy Kevin Underwood with Lip Sticker Fishing, 678-459-8419. Kevin at lipstickerfishing.com and his Patreon, which everybody is loving. That thing is growing. Patreon.com. Is that forward or backward slash? We talked about that the other night. Is that a forward slash?
I think that's what someone said in the comments.
Forward slash Lip Sticker Fishing right there. You guys see it. He's one of the top guides on Lake Lanier. He's always putting those megalodons in the boat. And if you want to watch him do it live and have him show you exactly what he's doing, check him out on his Patreon. And then we got the best rod sleeve on the market, bar none, Evolve Fishing. We got the Evolve rod sleeves here at Fish North Georgia. You guys hear me talk about it all the time. They float. They got all the cool little features. And best of all, you can throw them in your rod locker, and those treble hooks will not stay hooked in these things. There's much better than the Chinese finger trap rod sleeves on the market.
Yeah,
absolutely. So check them out at Fish North Georgia. Go to evolvefishing.com. And then we got the legend, Mr. Bill Payne, right there. Did I mess you up?
Yeah, well, it got moved. So
it got moved.
To do it in order. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's hit Bill Payne since I've already said his name. Now, I don't know how that got moved. I'll have to figure it out. 706-280-2305. Lake Allatoona legend. If you guys want to know how to fish Lake Allatoona, there's no one better than Bill Payne. He also does smallmouth trips seasonally, and he does sonar trips to help you actually get that thing dialed in. He's the best. He's the legend. 706-280-2305. Bill Payne's Guide Service. Now let's go back up to the Money Saver. Since I messed Alex up, somehow moved it right there. The best plug knocker on the market, bar none. There is not one that is better. The Money Saver Lure Retriever. For all those expensive baits that we like to throw, you need to have a plug knocker to get them back. You're going to be spending a lot of money at the bottom of the lake. We got them here at Fish North Georgia. Come check them out. Money Saver Lure Retriever. And now we get to the hot kid, Brooks Anderson. I believe he took 8th the other day in the Clarks Hill Bass Open. I believe it was 8th. It was top 10 finish right there. Guys, Lake Lanier. He knows it like the back of his hand. This kid is very impressive. He loves to gear his trips toward high school and college anglers that are trying to figure out what they're doing and getting their career on track right there. He'll teach you what spotted bass do, what to catch them on, and most importantly, why. He's also got a pretty cool YouTube page. Check him out, brooksandersonfishing.com. Let's go ahead and do Fishers of Hope tonight, too. I want to go ahead and get this since we got Mr. Watson coming on later on. Their mission is to glorify God, be servants of his word, to bring those in need to peace and hope that only he can bring. Guys, I tell you this all the time. They throw bass tournaments whenever there is a need in the community. All right, what we would like for you guys to do is join them in their efforts, support them, help raise some money, go fish their tournaments, whatever it is. Fishers of Hope Ministry at gmail.com. We appreciate them being part of the Fish North Georgia family. And then behind me on the wide screen right there, you can see our buddies Turner Tires, 706-253-3339. Jasper, Georgia, if you need tires or alignment, great family-owned business. It's where I get my tires. If you go there, tell them you heard about them on Fish North Georgia. And always support your local mom-and-pop shops, places like that. So we took care of that, so we got it. Let me go ahead and introduce our guest that's here now. To my left, one Allen Armour. So appreciate making his first appearance.
Appreciate you having me here.
So what's crazy about this is like this guy has been fishing for a long time. I'm not saying you're that old, but he knows some people. Let's just say that. Bassmaster, you fished that. FLW, you're currently going to fish the 2025 NPFL season.
Yes, sir.
And you live in Cumming, Georgia, which is right down the road. And so I'm glad I got to meet him tonight. If it's anything like the pregame stories, it ought to be a good episode. And then we got James Worldwide Watson coming on about 8:30. He's going to spend a few minutes with us, and we're going to get his thoughts on the NPFL as well, since they're both fishing it this year. Going to be a really good show. And, of course, you know, it's a comment-driven show. If you guys got questions that you'd like to ask Allen or even James when they get on her, of course, me or Tim, because Tim's here for Father Time. We got Mr. Tim McGuire right there. So we're ready to go. We're ready to roll. So let's check out our comment sections. Larry Strong is a new member of the channel. Thank you very much, Larry. I know you called me today, and I couldn't get it. I was busy, but I'll give you a buzz back. So appreciate that, too. Cody Campbell, Paul, I'm going to say, is it Bursey? Burke, how do you pronounce that?
Bork.
Paul Bork. I hope that's right. And if we murdered it, let me know. Appreciate you joining us tonight, Doug Phillips, Fred Ashcraft. All you guys, I recognize your names and in not of. Hope you got my email. I'll hit you back about us going fishing in February.
Martin
Nanker. One. Allen is the GOAT. Do you know him?
Yeah, he's one of my great builders in Atlanta. If you guys need a house built, he's probably the best custom builder in Georgia.
In Georgia.
A good friend of mine. I take him. He's one of the few guys that I actually take the time and go fun fishing with. He's a great guy. We have a blast fishing.
All right, that's awesome. And so then the next one, this is somebody very important because I got CPA on the back of it. I missed pre. Okay, we'll do Andres first. I got you messed up
Andres
all back
Leal.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
My old tennis buddy.
So you love tennis. I noticed that on your Facebook today,
yeah.
which also goes back to the question from pre. From Andrew. I'm confused now because we're going back and forth so much. Which do you like better, fishing or tennis?
Well, I do tennis a lot for fun, and I fish the tournaments for fun. So, like as far as fun fishing, I don't get to do much of that.
Yeah.
So my kind of competitive, I guess, the competitive side of me, it's just easier for me to play tennis.
Yeah.
So I play 4 or 5 times a week.
Good
And
Lord.
We play Alta, USTA. We play all kind of league tournaments. We won sectionals, USTA 4.0 sectional league. We went to nationals down to Orlando.
So you don't suck.
I suck, but I'm really good at cattening. I've got some great players. Yeah.
You don't play pickleball, do you?
I do. I play pickleball.
I can't figure is pickleball for guys that just can't play tennis?
No, pickleball is an amazing sport. I say the difference between tennis and pickleball. Tennis is a much more difficult sport to kind of get to play. I mean, you have to train for years to be able to play tennis. Pickleball is a much easier entry-level sport where you can just kind of come in and play with just about anybody. You know, it's just easier to start. But there's different levels of pickleball, just like tennis or baseball, football, or anything. I mean, there's high levels of pickleball. Well, that's why you see a lot of younger guys really excelling at this. A lot of tennis pros are going to pickleball now, too.
I was in the Bahamas about 3 weeks ago, and out my balcony on my hotel with the tennis courts and the pickleball courts. Mm-hmm. And I'm just telling you now, I was watching the skill level difference between the guys that could play tennis and the pickleball guys. They look like me out there. So I was like, that might be the sport.
Well, what's
for me to
great
try.
about that is they're like we're on a little team in Montebello. It's just on the north side of Cumming.
Yeah.
And we play in a little team there, Alta team, that has probably the average age, maybe 72.
Really?
You know, but those people wouldn't be able to play tennis.
Yes.
You know, so it's a great activity. Those guys play every morning. And it's just great that, you know, I think it helps their fitness, their life.
For sure.
I think it, you know, there's studies done that it expands your life maybe 7 years. People that play racket sports. Racket sports, yeah. But older people, it's easier for them to play pickleball than tennis because it's just a little more.
It's got to be good exercise all around.
It's like ping pong on a little tiny tennis court.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Do you think we should start a Fish North Georgia pickleball team?
Let's do it.
Sure. We got a captain now.
We got a captain. Hell, he said he could captain. Go up to War Eagle the Best. Read this comment. Good evening for Osaka, Japan Fishing Expo. Danny, come over here. I have a whole case of Sakamata shad and a couple of, is it geishas? Geishas for me to treat me. Hey, just bring me some back, dude. Bring me some of those back.
It's hard to find.
They are. Everybody comes in and you got any of those Sakamata? I'm like, no, dude. No.
Get the Zoom version now, I guess.
Yeah. I've been told it doesn't exactly, it's not the same. Even though it's good, it's not the same.
Well, I don't have to mess with that stuff in the NPFL anymore.
Yeah, that's right. I say you won't have to. We'll get to that too. Are we caught up right there with all the comments right there? So good. Let's get into actual fishing talk for a while. NPFL. Now, well, let's start here because I went back and researched you a little bit today. You've been around. You've been around. So for those that may not know you, it's Geisha. I was stationed Yokosuka. I can't pronounce some of these Japanese names.
Talk up there.
Yeah, our viewers, they get into everything.
We're derailed.
Well, we derail easily here. We derail easily
the show's
here.
Full of rabbit holes.
Yeah, if this is the place, if you got a rabbit hole and you want to go hunting, we can do that. But in researching you today, you know, Bassmaster FLW. For those that do not know you, kind of give us a little bit of your history as a professional angler.
Well, I bought my first bass boat in 1988. It was a Ranger 360V. I was 22 years old. Got into tournament fishing. I started fishing the Redman Tournament Trail.
Mm-hmm.
And 1987 was my first event, which is a long time ago. Redman Tournament Trail, which is, if people don't understand, it's the current Major League Fishing BFL trail, which is the weekend trail. So I started fishing those, and then 1993 was my first Bassmaster Tour event, which was the 25th anniversary of Bass.
Mm-hmm.
And that was on Lake of the Ozarks, which was where the first Bassmasters was, when Ray Scott flew everybody in, and they didn't know where they were going and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. They just kind of dropped them in there and made them go fish somewhere, which was pretty cool.
I think so.
No pre-practice, no information. I think that's one of the pure parts of the sport that I think's lost now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody has so much information, you know, and there's rules against some of it, but there's a little gray areas. I think some of the people might bend a little.
Might.
I do not.
I didn't say you did.
Yeah, I can tell you. But, you know, I just think it's just the purity of the fishing is a little different. You know, and I came in when, you know, Bassmasters 93, it was the only tour. You know, they had the Bassmaster Invitational is what they were called.
Right.
Now they're called the Opens. But you actually fish pro on pro,
mm-hmm.
which kind of stinks.
Yeah.
Right. So we were talking earlier. I fished with Byron Velvick. I fished with Randy Blaukett. I fished with Danny Brower. I fished with Tommy Biffle.
Yeah.
I fished with Basil Bacon. You know, so before I got on the tour, I would spend maybe 5 hours a day pitching and flipping in my yard or my kitchen, or like I'd watch the Masters Golf Tournament and I would just practice pitching, flipping, you know, under the breakfast table, just to get the muscle memory and the strength, you know.
That's what I need to do.
Going through these 6-day events, I mean, there's a lot of physical trauma that happens to your body.
Yeah.
Like all these older guys like me, they're getting shoulder rotator cuff surgeries. And,
mm-hmm.
you know, I've had 2 knee replacements, not from fishing, but probably from tennis.
Probably from tennis.
Yeah, 100%.
It's that damn pickleball. That's what it is.
But it's kind of given me a new lease on life, actually.
Yeah.
Because before I had the knee replacements, I would stand out there and fish a tournament like a Toyota Series or something. And I would be just dying out there, you know. But anyway, I started fishing bass in 93. And in my first year on the Invitational Tour, I won the Bassmasters on Lake of the Ozarks in 94. I beat Tommy Biffle and Guido Hibden and Denny Brower, Rick Clunn. They were all in the top 10. I beat Guido by 3 ounces. The late, great, amazing fisherman.
His son
amazing
was
people.
on just a little while back.
Dion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Dion on.
What an amazing family.
Yeah.
You know, I used to
and
hang
a
out
good
with
interview.
Oh my God.
Dion's a good interview. I loved it.
They're incredible.
Yeah.
Just good, salt of the earth people. I mean, they're just good as gold.
Right.
You know, I really like Guido, and Guido kind of took me because that's his home lake, you know, and he was a guy, he was kind of a legend on Lake of the Ozarks. And a funny story, when I won the tournament, they were giving boats away. So like first place was like $45,000 or $14,000. And then they give away a Ranger, fully rigged Ranger boat, 482 VS is what it was. And this guy named Dan Strand, who owned Fishing Glue Company at the time, had actually written a check. So some of these guys would go and buy the boats from the tournament anglers. You know, so this like a dealer would say, "Hey, go to Missouri, Lake of the Ozarks. You know, they're gonna have 2 or 3 boats. I want you to buy one of them."
Okay.
So the guy had already written a check to Guido for the boat. So I was in 16th place going in the last day. So I was one of the last guys to weigh in, and my buddy John Curry, God bless him, he's one of my best friends, like a brother to me, best man at my wedding. He passed away like 5 years ago. Cancer and heart issues and all that. Big smoker though.
I get it.
So kids, if you're watching out there, no smoking, no vaping, stay away from that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Cause you think you're invincible, think you'll live forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
it's what got Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
World's greatest guitarist. Right there.
Thank you. I like this.
I saw Van Halen twice in concert at the Omni.
I've seen.
You remember the Omni?
Yeah. And guess what I'm doing tomorrow night? I'm going to Gainesville to the Boot Barn.
Boot Barn?
Yeah. Jump. The Van Halen 80s cover band is going to be there tomorrow night. I'm going there. I'm taking my brother. I'm going to jam to the old stuff.
Yeah. Me and my old buddy, David Neal. He was in a rock band called
I like this guy.
Collectives. Well, you remember Collective Soul?
I do.
Rowland?
Yeah.
So my best friend in high school, Dave Neal, was a bass player for a band. They played at Six Flags. It was like they did cover music at Six Flags. They opened for Night Ranger and Loverboy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Ed Rowland was the guitar player for that band.
Yeah.
You know, and then my best friend was in Collective Soul. So I know Ed Rowland, all those guys.
Really?
I haven't talked to that guy forever.
But you had me at
I tried to Facebook friend him. He didn't respond.
Yeah, you had me at Eddie Van Halen's the greatest guitarist. What do I tell you guys all the time?
That's what was jamming when I got here today.
Well, it was jamming when you got here, and then we switched over to the girly music.
Dude, the greatest thing I ever saw in my life was when Eddie Van Halen was playing Eruption.
Yeah.
Right. And they had this ramp that, I don't know, like a 2-to-1 slope thing. And he slides on his knee like a skateboarder.
Yep.
You know, on a skateboard. Slides like 40 feet down the same
and doesn't miss a lick.
Oh, it was unbelievable. David Lee Roth, all that black belt karate stuff.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Listen, I could talk to you about Van Halen all night. We don't even have to talk fishing. Let's see. How about
Showgirls?
Well, listen, I told.
What is that?
I don't know. You just got to go with it. I told Clint, who's on Tuesday nights with us, that he could go with me and we could get him a wife or a cougar because they're going to be at that concert. So either one, but he turned me down. He ain't going to go. So that's his loss. Mr. Allen, did you ever fish the original BFLs?
Yeah, those were called the Red Man Tournament Trail back in the days.
Yeah,
that's where I started in 1987. Fished all the way through those, and I still fish some of them when I can. But that's a great grassroots organization.
Yeah.
You know, the BFLs is really where everybody needs to start. I mean, it's incredible. It's changed a little bit with the MLF, but the old Red Man and then the FLW days, I mean, they're just, I hate to say it, but I think I kind of went through the heyday of bass tournament fishing.
You think so?
I think, it was the greatest period of bass fishing was, I mean, you think about it, Rick Klund, Denny Brower, Roland Martin. Roland Martin's a friend of mine. We used to actually room together on the Toyota Series 3 years ago. And I met Roland at the Beaver Lake tournament.
Really?
So I meet Roland Martin. He's like a hero to me. I mean, when I was a little kid, we'd go to Florida and we'd stop at a Citgo gas station or BP or whatever. I don't know. You got a sponsor gas?
No, you can name them all. Yeah. No,
so we'd stop in there and
I'm looking for one.
They had a little box there. And I was a little kid, probably 8, 9 years old. Right. And there was a box there and a picture of Roland Martin. And Roland Martin was my hero growing up, him and Bill Dance.
Yeah.
Right. Those were the two guys.
They're the two guys.
So Roland there was a thing there, register for a chance to win fishing trip with Roland Martin. And me and my dad were filling out, like we probably did 30 of those things. We're going to win it. I'm going to fish Roland Martin, And what's funny is so you're a little kid and you idolize these guys. And I finally got to meet him on the FLW tour. The first time, well, I met him actually at the Beaver Lake tournament, the 25th anniversary. So I go over and I get my picture taken with him. I said, "Hey, Roland, can I get a picture with you? You're my fishing hero and all that." And he rabbit-eared me.
Did he really?
He did that to me.
In your picture?
Yeah.
So
Roland gets a little bum rap. He is one of the coolest guys. Like when you get Roland away from the crowd and the show, he's most down-to-earth, cool guy. So we're rooming together. It's kind of, I'm spinning around here.
You keep spinning.
We fished together at Lake Chickamauga Toyota Series tournament. We're rooming together. So I texted my buddy Jerry Brousseau, who's probably watching the show. Jerry, he's an old good buddy of mine. I met Jerry through Roland, actually. So I texted Jerry. He didn't answer. I texted Roland. I said, "Hey, man, I'm out of gas." My co-angler had to take, I ran out 2 miles from the ramp. My co-angler had to take the fish.
Right.
And I need a ride back. Roland, I'm on it. Roland goes over, buys a gas tank at the marina at Dayton, Tennessee.
Right.
Drives down, and I'm waiting, and I can't stand it. I'm fishing the willow trees on the way up, and he just rolls, he goes blow by me in the Nitro 21, right? And I said, and he calls me, "Where the hell you at?" And I said, "I'm over here by the bridge," and he comes back up and picks me up. But anyway, that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
You think about like your childhood hero is bringing you gas. You know what I mean?
think it's amazing.
So then I fished the Toyota Series in Okeechobee, and I said, "Hey, Roland, I'm coming down to Okeechobee. You have any advice for me? You have any help?"
Right.
He says, Hey, Allen, how you doing, son? So he calls me and he says, I think I can come fish with you for a couple of days. There were no off limits rules.
Right.
So he came and he actually drove he lives way down South Florida. Like, what's the name of that place down there? What's south side of Florida there? Way down. Jerry lives there.
I have not a damn clue.
So anyway, he drives 3 hours and meets me up at Harney Pond to help me practice for this tournament.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I tell you, there's nobody on earth that loves to fish and loves outdoors more than that guy. Like when you see him on TV and he's like, "Oh, son," that's him. Like he loves it. He's like a little kid. The guy's 80, maybe 84 years old.
Yeah, he looks good for his age too.
But I'll tell you something. When you got up in the morning, his ass was gone.
Really? He was up.
And when you got back to the ramp, that Nitro and that big Ford F-350 was still sitting at the ramp.
Still sitting there.
Yeah, he was the last one out, last one in, first one out. I mean, that guy's got energy like maybe Donald Trump.
Yeah, Trump.
Really.
Yeah.
He's like that.
You know what Trump's secret is? He drinks 12 Diet Cokes a day.
Huh.
I found that out
that.
12 Diet Cokes a day. Trump does.
Roland drinks some Diet Cokes.
Well, I drink the Coke Zero, so hopefully I can be kicking when I'm in my.
Is that Shaw Grisby?
No, in and out of says Shaw Grisby.
Scott Barnes, old buddy Scott.
You know Scott, the mayor. Bless your heart, right there. Allen is the best.
Oh, there's Jerry.
Where's Jerry at?
Jerry Hunter Brousseau.
Right there. Well, what's up, buddy? Glad you could join us. Scott says this. Allen is the best I've ever seen skip a white swim jig on docks. He can make it land like a butterfly between a boat and a slip. Tell us about Aaron Martin also. I know you guys were great friends, which is good because we talked a little bit about Aaron before that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, this guy's been under my nose here the whole time, and I wish I knew him earlier because we've already had some great conversations.
Thank you, Scott.
But you were you were great friends with Aaron Martin, so a lot of people think very highly of him.
Aaron's
so just,
one of the most amazing fishermen. So I told him, I said, did a spaceship pick you up and send you here to be a pro fisherman? I mean, he's that good, man.
Yeah.
Kind of like Kevin Van Damish kind of thing, drove up from Naples. Oh, Naples, that's it. I'm on camera. I choked up, Jerry.
But Naples, whatever. It's all close. Hey, there ain't nothing perfect on this damn show right here. We just go as
maybe
we go.
it's the tequila they fed me.
You ain't supposed to tell nobody I've been letting you drink. He done told on us, Tim.
What? I wasn't listening.
Oh, sorry about that. No.
In all fairness, you saw the bottle.
I called it out.
You did call the bottle out like that. So, but anyway, relax, bro. Have fun. That's the way it is here.
I love me some Jerry Brousseau. So keep Hunter Brousseau, his grandson.
Yeah.
That guy's going to be the next, maybe Roland Martin.
Write that name
So
down.
Jerry's real good friends with Roland Martin.
Yeah.
They're like, I'd say Jerry Jerry's probably Roland's best friend. So I met Jerry through Roland.
Right.
So Roland, I was talking to Roland and said, hey, I'm fishing this Toyota Series. And my first year back, both of my girls are in high school and they're kind of getting ready for college. And I'm like, man, I think I want to make a little comeback in the tournaments. So I just called Roland and said, hey, man, what are you doing? And he said, well, I'm fishing these Toyota Series, And I said, who you rooming with? And he goes, well, I'm rooming with this Jerry Rousseau guy. Here's his number. Call him. He sets up all the rooms and all that. So that's how I got to room with Roland and Jerry.
Oh, yeah.
So I called Jerry, and I was actually at a tennis match watching a makeup tennis match. And I talked to Jerry for maybe an hour and a half.
Okay.
It's kind of like a brother from another mother thing.
Oh, yeah.
Jerry's just such a great guy. But his grandson, Hunter, I think he's 12 years old. He's probably going to be the next big thing. That kid is just gifted. He's going to be great.
We need to remember that name right there.
I'll remember.
Maybe we can
that.
get Hunter on the podcast, for all these young, aspiring, young kids that are wanting to fish,
Listen, I'm
he's
open
amazing.
to anybody coming on. I'm a cheap date. I'm an easy date.
Well, that's why I'm here.
I know.
Yeah.
That's
Who's this Allen guy? I don't know. We couldn't get anybody else. Let's get Allen out here.
no, actually, listen, it's true. I knew
Hey,
James.
it looks like
Okay,
James
Yeah,
Watson's
he's
on
Yeah,
here.
getting himself.
he's getting himself comfortable right there. Look at him.
I
right
met
there.
James at the
Go ahead and pull him up.
no
there.
front facing sonar tournament that Alan Brooks put on.
Yeah, that's where I met James.
Yep.
What's up, Mr. James?
How you guys doing?
We're doing good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm trying to get situated here myself.
Well, just
There
get
we are.
comfortable. Just get comfortable.
I
That's
need
all.
to design that house you're in, man. That thing looks amazing.
Well, thanks, guys. 2 years of a lot of work.
Yeah, well, you're looking good. Last time I talked to you was down at ICAST. It's been a hot minute, and I've been trying to get you on for a while. I'm glad you could join us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, bud.
Well, let's go ahead because I know I got you for a trip fishing. Says worldwide right there. So yeah,
Did they pay you to be on this?
Hell no, I don't pay nobody.
No,
Okay.
no.
I was
This
just making
is
sure.
Free publicity.
I'm here
is
for
what this
free,
is.
so
Man,
Free
I
press.
I ain't got swindle money or nothing like that. I can't do that shit. So
Mm-mm.
anyway, so while I got you for a short time and I got Alan on here, the reason I got you guys on, of course, is the NPFL 2025. Both of you guys are fishing it. And so my first question to you is, why are you fishing the NPFL and what is it that you're looking forward to about fishing it?
Well, first and foremost, I'm fishing the NPFL because of the piss poor decisions that Major League Fishing's made over the last few years,
Right?
and the fact that they kicked me off tour.
That doesn't help. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
there's a couple reasons. I've always enjoyed the NPFL. Wasn't able to ever fish them because of the Bass Pro Tour, but did some commentating for them and had a good time. And now I'm just completely ecstatic by the fact that we're not forward facing sonar fishing.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Was that your major decision in it?
yes, absolutely.
So do you think, in your opinion, I mean, what's your opinion about how professional fishing has gone? I mean, are you against forward facing sonar, or you're just like, you just want to see a tour without it? You're against it.
I'm
Don't
against
like
it at the highest level of the sport.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. What about you?
Coming in, I'm against it at the highest level of sport.
Right.
I just am. I don't think any high schooler should be able to walk into the big leagues of Major League Baseball, the NFL. There's the rare occasion that somebody could come into the sport straight out of diapers.
Right.
But if you haven't realized, and it's not hate on the young anglers, because I get a lot of grief over this. There is not the same skill level set to do what we do as professional fishermen as the guys that have forward facing sonar skills. Not the same.
Right. So we hear that from a lot of people. It seems that is really the big elephant in the room dividing everybody. So what do you think about it? Was that the draw to the NPFL for you, Alan?
well, I kind of relate it to like a Formula One race car driver being able to do it on PlayStation or Xbox. It's just a different. We spent so much time, like James said, researching lakes, researching patterns, understanding the pattern movements of the fish and how they relate to bait and all that. And these guys, and I'm not a proponent of banning things.
Right.
But I definitely think there should be some limitations to it. And I kind of like the idea of maybe, I think where they're falling short a little bit is they're taking us to lakes where front facing sonar excels more than just natural fishing.
Right.
And I think it sends a really bad message. So I have some friends in South Carolina at Santee Cooper, and their kids are really up and coming kind of junior high, middle school fishermen, and they have so much pressure to spend this $20,000 on electronics, and I think it sends a bad message. It's about how much you can afford to spend to excel at the sport. And I hate the banning thing, because I love fishing live scope. Like if I go to Lake Lanier, if I don't have live scope on, I'm not even going. Because once you learn how to fish with it, it totally changes the game. You can't just go throw a Shad Rap against the rock banks like the old days.
Right.
It's just like you throw a Spro rock crawler, you see the fish eat it. You can watch him chase it, and you can work the bait to make him eat the bait. I mean, it's an unbelievable technology. So it's kind of I don't know. It's tough to kind of, do we ban it? I don't know. It's hard for me on that one, but I definitely joined the NPFL 100% because I love the fact that I can just go fishing again, like what we learned, like James and I learned to fish as kids. We fish with our parents, our grandparents, whoever. You just go fish, and the mystery of what's happening. It's the live scope makes it easy. I don't care what these guys say, but the live scope makes fishing much easier. So like if you had a tough tournament back in the 90s or early 2000s, where like 3 or 4 bites a day, like Denny Brower, like look at what his accomplishments were back in the 90s and in the 2000s. Won Angler of the Year, won 3 Bassmaster tournaments in a year or something, but that's fishing.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't have done that today. There's no way, because there's no tough tournaments anymore.
No, because Danny Brower's 17 pounds 4 days in a row.
Be 30th place.
Would come in 11th place behind a bunch of guys who catch 22 pounds every day.
Yeah, so it takes places where guys would make a check it like with 13, 14 pounds, 3 or 4 fish, where those guys are 130th place now.
Yeah.
Because what it does, it takes you've got your top 3 or 4 guys that are going to dominate no matter what. I think they're just great fishermen. They're going to figure it out, whatever it is. Yeah. But then that middle range, where like the check range from 4th, 5th to 100th place, it just makes it easier for those guys to catch big limits.
That makes sense. And let me ask you this, James: why do you think bass then is keeping it? Just out of curiosity, what's your take on that?
Maybe they want every catch that's made on their live and on their TV show to look identical, so you could stack every one of them catches from the moon and back, and they're all identical. Maybe that's why they want to do it, because that's what bass fishing is going to.
Well, a lot of people don't like to watch it anymore because of that. That's the biggest complaint that I've heard. It's not so much that they're using the live scope; it's that you're staring at a guy's ass the entire day, and they're just looking at a screen. Is there a way for them to even fix that to make it more entertaining as far as bass goes?
Oh, they'll put the other camera on the screen of the live scope, and show how the guy's jiggling and stuff and all that stuff. But there again, why in the world would anybody? I understand the tool. I get so pissed off talking about this.
You can go ahead.
I understand.
This is a free space.
I like live scoping. Went live scoping. I got it on my boat. I'm not 100% against it. I'm against it in competition. Yeah. I don't think anybody should go out in the middle of the goddamn lake and throw a device in the water and keep looking until they see something and then throw at it.
Right.
That is not the sport of professional bass
It's definitely like video game fishing, right, James?
It's not professional bass fishing. If that guy had any clue on how to fish, then unplug the thing. And the proof today, guys, it's trust me, it pained me to watch MLF today, but I did. And the guys, so many of the guys went first period with life scope, absolutely crushed their heads in with life scope, 50 pounds. All right. And then when the live scope was turned off, Jacob Wheeler caught, I don't know, 6 more bass all day long. Dustin Cannell got lucky and hooked a couple of 5.5 pounders. He was spun out of his gourd without that tool. I mean, seriously, and I don't want to take anything away. Dustin and Jacob can catch him without live scope. You know, look at and Gill and Drew Gill is the nicest young man, the most professional young man that you'll ever meet in the sport. And he caught a few fish without it, a few. But trust me, if he didn't have live scope, he would be 50th place or worse right now.
Wow.
I'd be down there with Allen Armour down at the 70th
To me,
place.
I'm not competing against. I don't want to compete against. I don't want to compete against a machine. I want to compete against a skill set. And a skill set doesn't say, well, if it's that damn easy, then you can go out there and do it too. No, that's not the point. If I had every time I get out there for 3 hours and I'm doinking around or everything, the wind starts blowing on my favorite wigglewort bank. What am I going to do? Well, I haven't had a bite in 35 minutes, and I haven't seen one out here in the goddamn ocean. I'm going to go over there to my wigglewort bank and throw a wigglewort, rip a spinnerbait or something.
Right.
Again, if we want to alter the sport of professional bass fishing, everybody in the big leagues will be from the age of 17 to 28. Anybody like myself, all right, we're sent to pasture. And if you think the fishing industry can survive by selling a bag of lead heads and some plastic jiggly worm baits and not sell me 10 square bill crankbaits a year.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. People need to understand there's limits in every sport. You're limited in NASCAR. I don't know nothing about it, but apparently you can't do certain things to your engine.
That's right.
You can't have a who's crying now. That's right. You can't have a freaking aluminum bat in Major League Baseball for some reason. You know, it's not there.
Yeah, I get it. I think I'm not against forward facing sonar, but I do think that I agree with you at the highest levels, it would be more entertaining to just watch the skill of the anglers.
Yeah, I think they knew these organizations. It was very disappointing. I fished the Bassmaster Open EQs last year, right?
Right.
So they banned the front facing sonar to just one transducer.
Right.
Which I think is great. They kind of made a little political move there, but they set the schedule up where it still is better for the front facing sonar guys. Like, why do we keep going to Lake Champlain, Lake Ontario, St. Lawrence River, all these smallmouth fisheries where live scope's going to dominate? I think they need to do a better job if they're going to continue allowing live scope, which I think they're going to do. I think the one scope thing, most of the guys like, Emil Wagner, Paul Marks, those guys, they're amazing fishermen.
Yeah.
I think Emil Wagner can go catch them without live scope.
Absolutely will.
Yeah. And there's a couple guys like Jacob Wheeler. He's just a damn good fisherman.
Yeah.
That guy, Dustin Connell, pure fisherman. Kevin Van Dam, pure fisherman.
Right.
Those Denny Brower, those kind of guys. But they're going to catch them. Rick Clun. They're going to figure out how to catch them. But the live scope kind of makes it easier for these. It's like pickleball compared to tennis. Pickleball is a much easier entry-level sport, but you got to work for 7 to 8 years to be able to hit the ball with me, right? And I'm just a 4-0 player.
Yeah.
But like my daughter, I trained her since she was 3-5 years old. She's JV varsity on West Forsyth High School team. It took her like 10 years to be able to hit the ball with me. Pickleball, you can kind of get out there. And I relate pickleball to kind of live scope. You can get out there in 1 or 2 years and just put the troll motor down and literally just start panning around. These guys just put it on high and they look, they see fish. But one of the things that it makes us understand is how pelagic fish are.
That's
like
true.
We never thought we always knew the bass were out there, the bait was out there with the stripers and hybrids, but now it allows them to catch those fish. And that's where I think most of the big fish are, because as these reservoirs get older and the decaying of the cover and the structure, like West Point Lake's a great example.
Yes.
It fluctuates a lot. And then it used to have some gator grass. You used to have stumps. You used to have trees, standing timber. Now it's all gone.
It's just a silt.
It's just a big silted mess up there.
Yeah.
So all these fish are suspending now, but you don't realize how much. So like the live scope really opens your eyes to how many fish are really out there.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Hey, you play pickleball, James?
No, but I'm thinking about getting like a court made out here on my property.
You should.
Yeah,
you should.
The
We're gonna start a Fish North Georgia pickleball team. Will you be on our team?
Yeah, I'll be on your team.
Okay, there you go. Because Allen's going to captain
with you,
it.
Bro.
Yeah.
God, we're going to suck.
Yeah.
It'll be fun, though. It'll be fun. He's
We'll
got
get pity
tequila.
views.
Don
They won't be
Julio.
looking for entertainment other than entertainment
Well,
purposes.
does it bring the women to the courts? Does
Women
does
they're all
pickleball
about
attract
pickleball.
Does pickleball attract women as much as it does as tennis?
My
does?
wife loves pickleball, so yes,
You gotta
it brings
say
all
that.
the hot women.
Okay,
I can tell you in the nightly rental market, it's a huge plus to have a pickleball court on site.
It's kind of like live scope. Is a great entry level sport for people who aren't really athletic.
I'm still a badminton guy, but anyway, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, some drunk badminton is fun. Now that's the way to go.
Yard darts.
Badminton.
Yard
My daughter
darts.
Sophie
Yeah,
whipped my
yard
butt
I used to
at
throw them damn
badminton.
things with my brother. My mama threw them away. All right, so you made an interesting point, James, as far as the industry, because we have seen it change. I can tell you from what goes out of the shop here, it is definitely shifted to the ball head jig, to the underspin, to the minnow, the Kitex, and all that.
Mhm.
So, do you think the NPFL, and if other associations were to ban it, other organizations, will that help the industry? Is that going to be a much more positive thing, or are we just past the point of no return on it?
That would be a much more positive thing. There'll be a lot more bait sales and stuff of people more in. Well, I shouldn't say that. You people that are watching, are they still going to use their Forward Facing Sonar? Are they going to feel compelled to go out there and square bill laydowns and stuff? I don't know, but the fact is, it is going in such a fast pace to convince everybody to use Forward Facing Sonar, and it is fun to use. But as far as tournament fishing goes, they shouldn't be using in any tournament fishing, period.
Yeah,
Especially the big leagues.
Yeah, and that leads me to Jeremy Conkerite's question. Why is forward facing not getting banned in high school fishing and making them to learn to fish without it till at least college?
I'm not so certain that Major League Fishing's high school program is no Forward Facing Sonar. I think.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not. Absolutely.
It's not.
Yeah. So the pressure of these parents to have to spend $20,000 on 2 front-facing sonars, 2 Garmin's, live scopes, active targets, whatever. There's a lot of pressure there.
Yeah,
for these kids.
I believe it is illegal in the high school, Major League Fishing high school, to have. You can't use Forward Facing Sonar.
Well, even if it's what you're saying though, does seem to be, and high school and college fishing is blowed up. They didn't have it when old farts like us were in school. I might have done better, but the popularity of it now, I mean, they're having 250 boat tournaments, it seems like, on Lanier high school kids and all that. And there's a lot of them. Is it the draw of Forward Facing Sonar helping those kids to catch fish, being competitive, or would it drop if they took it away from it?
I think it's the video game age.
Yeah.
The iTunes, the Apple. I think there's a lot of technology involved in this movement. There's a fear that if we eliminate this technology, that the young people aren't going to come in and fish it, and that's a detriment to our being a father to our sons. Like James and I, we got into fishing with somebody. Like my dad would take me fishing, he would take me hunting, he would throw baseball with me out in the yard, throw football, play basketball. There's a lot of that, I'd say, organic part of our lives as children and fathers that's dissolved because of this gaming industry. We use these technology, TV, gaming, Xbox, and all that stuff to pacify our kids so we don't have to watch them.
That's
know what I
true.
mean?
That's a good point.
You know, I think there's a lot of that going into fishing now. So the live scopes. So I think there's a fear that if we eliminate live scope, we're going to eliminate the future of fishing. And what needs to really happen is better parenting. We need to take these kids out fishing. We need to take these kids out, playing tennis, playing pickleball, whatever, getting these kids off their ass.
Yeah.
And out of these gaming rooms, like just addicted to these games, to the iPhone games and all that kind of stuff, and I think that's the movement that needs to happen.
That's
we
right.
need to be
Parents
better
need to
parents,
stop being
better
lazy.
society. Yeah.
Parents need to
Parents
stop being
need to
lazy.
Stop being lazy. I'm not a parent.
Take your kids out.
I can sit here and throw stones, I guess. I'm not a parent. But if I was, I wouldn't do some of the things that I watch parents do.
Yeah.
Like if your kid is if you want your kid to shut up, they put a device in front of them.
That's right.
If the parent wants to be alone, they put a device in front of their kid.
How many times you've been at a restaurant where the kids are sitting there playing their iPhone or their iTunes or their iPad?
Yeah.
I watch people all the time. My daughters, we spend time. We go out to dinner. We talk at lunch. There's no iPhones. I didn't allow my kids to be on any social media until they're 16 years old. And I felt like the biggest asshole in the neighborhood. Like all these other kids, but this entitled generation of our country, it's not just kids. It's like everybody thinks that we deserve something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I felt like the worst father in the world, but I think that's the best for my kids. And I think my kids, now that they're grown, they understand that, you know what? I think it was good that you didn't get me on that social media when I was 12 or 9 years old.
You thought you was a butthole. My wife wouldn't let our kids have a TV in their room till they were 18.
Our kids didn't have TV.
Yeah, would not let them do that, especially my son, because I would not want to know what he's watching. Have to go in there with a black light in his room.
Right.
It would be awful. I mean, seriously, it's terrible. So let me throw this out at you, James. Here's the schedule for the NPFL this year: Santee Cooper, Lake Norman, Douglas Lake, Lake Eufaula, St. Lawrence, Logan Martin, and then Hartwell's the championship. Of those lakes that I just named out, what are you looking most forward to fishing? Which one of those?
Santee.
Really?
Yeah.
And why is that?
Oh, they'll be moving up to Spawn. I think it'll just be a fun tournament in my wheelhouse. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, to back you up on that, James, when we fished the Bassmaster EQ, I fished all those last year. We fished Santee Cooper, and none of the scope guys caught them.
Yeah.
So that's what my point earlier was. These organizations need to do a better job of setting the schedule where the live scope doesn't dominate.
Okay.
I think they haven't done a good job of that. They eliminated one of the front-facing sonars, right? And they changed these rules: one no scope, one scope. And it kind of makes it interesting.
Let's not beat around. In my opinion, I'm not going to beat around the bush about it.
Go ahead.
Limiting to one live scope. Boo hoo hoo. Give me a fucking break.
Well, I know there's guys here that are
limiting me
hammers.
to one sandwich. Tournament time. That changes diddly dick.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact of the matter is they're trying to pacify and all this. And what the world has lost over the last few years is the ability to talk in a calm and peaceful manner to somebody with common sense. Everybody's afraid of hurting everybody's feelings. And it's quite literally turned me into an asshole, because I'm at the point nowadays where I'm like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And you're trying to pacify and get everybody on board. And you need to draw a line in the sand and say, look, it's not where the sport, it's not where our forefathers thought we would be. Yes, we have bigger motors. Yes, we have faster trolling motors. Yes, we have lithium batteries instead of lead. But somewhere along the line, we have to get over this crap and say somewhere you got to draw the line and say enough's enough. Yeah.
I agree with that. Now, my buddy Far Dog in Oklahoma first wanted me to tell you thank you for your service.
You bet.
And
My pleasure.
that's to you right there. So, yeah, he joins us from Oklahoma every episode like that. And he said he had a couple of questions for you in the comments, so he'll put them up there for sure. Now, Big Al, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when he joins us, and this both you guys are going to have to rank this woman. He gives us a hot lady from the 80s. All right. You got to either give me a thumbs up, thumbs down on what you think. Oh, yeah, that's what Big Al does. I got a Farrah Fawcett
Who's
poster.
Big Al?
Big Al.
Gets in trouble.
Big Al's
going to be the one going, there's the boom.
Talking about Farrah Fawcett or Cheryl Teagues?
Well, Farrah Fawcett's the poster he sent me.
A word.
I dated her during my high school years. That poster on the back of my door right there. So anyway.
We guard that thing with our life around here.
Yes. All right. So here's your hot woman of the 80s. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Phoebe Cates. Is it Phoebe? Phoebe Cates?
Yeah, that's
I know her by her boobs. That's the only way.
Fast Times at Ridgemont
Fast
High.
Times at Ridgemont High. Everybody knows the scene when if you were a teenager, she comes up and she undoes that top.
Oh boy.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs
there
up.
you go. Everybody giving her a thumbs up.
Nancy,
There
I
you go.
hope you're not watching this.
Hey, listen. You can't help what happened way back
Phoebe
then.
Cates was,
She is Phoebe,
Yeah.
right?
Phoebe Cates.
I can't pronounce shit on here, so I always mess up everybody's name. But I know who she was like that. So Big Al, everybody. Well, Alex didn't answer.
Alex.
Do you even know who the hell she
Yeah,
is?
I do. She was in Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah, but she was in Fast Times at Ridgemont
No, I've
High.
seen that.
Oh yeah, she was in that. So
I forgot Alex is young.
Alex is young. Basszilla says Big Al has no clue what
How
beauty
come my
is.
wife's not on that thing? She not watching this?
Is your wife hot?
She's hot as hell. Let me
Good for
show
you,
a
dude.
wedding picture.
Yeah, dude. Let me see that thing. Let me tell you that Kevin, old man Kevin, has got the hottest wife when he's here like that.
Mhm.
100%. So we're getting ready to check out this guy's wife right here. I'm not giving you a thumbs up or
Aaron
thumbs down.
Martin's at our
She's
wedding.
gonna be thumbs
he
up.
only came because she was so hot.
Really? Are you doing this just because you're scared of hell of your wife, or is she really hot?
She's watching this video.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
What's your name?
Boys, I hate to cut you
You
off.
gotta go.
Where you going, James?
I got to get on.
You go on and listen. I appreciate you, and I want you to come back on when you can spend some more time with us.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you being honest and everything and your opinion. So you be good, be safe.
Hey,
Thanks,
James,
guys.
it was nice to meet you at Lanier at the.
Lord.
You
Yeah,
too.
I met you. First time I met you was at Lake Lanier at the No Front Facing Sonar that Alan Brooks put on.
Yes, sir.
I met you at the boat ramp at Laurel Park,
Yes, sir.
and you were
I
nice
remember.
as hell to me. Yeah.
I love that lake too, by the way.
And I too love to fish boat dogs. That's why I'm excited about Lake Norman. I'm
yes.
excited about Logan Martin.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Somebody
Yeah,
call him.
somebody's
We're in
wife's
trouble.
calling.
Oh, that's my daughter,
His
Sophie.
daughter's calling.
He's
Anyway, hey,
busted. He is busted.
James, appreciate you joining us tonight,
Thanks,
buddy.
guys.
We'll see you.
See you guys.
Are you watching this?
See ya.
So anyway, right now Alan's getting in
I
trouble
love
by
you.
his daughter.
I gotta go.
But
See, what in the world was that? She said, talking about my wife being hot, I guess.
okay, right there.
Or maybe Phoebe Cates. I don't know.
Hey,
if she's mad
listen
about it.
though. Your wife is a very beautiful woman.
Oh, did you show it on the screen?
I didn't, but I can tell you right now, you sure as hell outpunted your coverage.
By
That's
long.
what my friend.
Yeah,
that's exactly
absolutely.
what my friend told me. I don't know if you can show that up there, but
Right there.
Yeah, that's
That's got like a little Liz Taylor look from back
Yeah,
in the day. right
and
there,
you know who was
black
the
and white.
photographer for my wedding was Shane Durant's.
Yeah, I know him.
You know Shane?
I know
He's the
Shane.
official photographer for Bassmaster Magazine.
He
and all.
is.
Yeah, so Shane and I are good buddies, and he actually was a photographer there.
Hey, you know what else he does? He gives great Bitcoin advice or
Bitcoin,
cryptocurrency.
and he's a big
XRP. He
like
loves
metal detector guy.
Yeah, he's always out
Like you
searching
go out.
stuff.
So if anybody has property out there, Shane can come out, metal detect, find some.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, so
points.
guys, I knew that James couldn't stay on too long because he was very busy. So I'm glad he jumped on with us and all that. So we're gonna have him back. I knew. He
Did
was
you only
gonna be
pay him for
short.
30 minutes?
I ain't paying his ass nothing.
All right,
He got to pay me.
Alex.
Huh? No, I'm just kidding. Like that. All right. So let me. How about? Okay. So I threw out those, and we're gonna get guys also too. If you actually have fishing questions like on Lanier stuff like that, hey, I told him you guys might have them. We will definitely answer it. If you put one up there,
How did you do it? How you did it? SMH. What's that mean?
now you did it.
shaking
Shake
my
my
head.
SMH.
Now you did
were
it,
old
shaking
like
my
me.
head.
You were old like me. So yeah, I mean,
I
listen,
only learned this from my grandson.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
that's
keep
what
up with
that
that. But if
means.
you guys had a question and we missed it because everything was going and we had James for a short time, please put it back on there and we will get to it. He is a very opinionated individual.
I'm married into big money.
Did you really?
I think I just saw that.
Well,
We need to
Where
go
was
back.
that
a
leave
little
us
bit,
a
see what
check.
These guys
Leave
are.
us. Oh, I know.
She married in big money. Yeah, pro fishermen are big money. Baby.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
get that too. So, but I like Big
spend
Al
it
has
all
no
on
clue
entry
what
fees.
beauty
We're
is.
lucky the
lures.
lights are on.
Nancy going to throw your pillow outside, bro. I got a couch down. Listen, look, I got a couch downstairs if you need it.
Word.
It's a
Yeah.
very soft leather
Right.
couch. We
Yeah.
used to keep it up here, and locals would come sit on it, and we couldn't get them out of here. So
Well, another one of these Don Julio's. Maybe I'll take you up on it.
you're gonna be here by yourself, though. You understand that, right? My ass ain't staying with you, no matter how many Don Julios we have tonight.
Nancy, I'm coming on with a bunch of lures tomorrow.
That you take that bottle of
clean this
Don
place
Julio
out.
with you if you want. So anyway, yeah, in and out of we're gonna put you on some Latham fish when you come down and fish with me here later on in
I can't get
February.
any information.
Who can't get any information? Oh, on Latham?
The legit fishermen in the NPFL, we can't get any information.
Oh, did somebody have that on there?
What's Latham?
Latham is that little mini Lake Lanier lake right over here I was telling you about.
Oh,
Was it you I was telling you about? Did I tell you about
Yeah,
Latham? Yeah,
yeah.
whatever
or
is
about the Crystal Falls golf
yeah,
course,
whatever
right?
is working on Lanier Alatoona, you can flat out do it on Latham.
Nancy, don't throw my pillow out.
No, listen, it's just who he's hanging out with tonight. It's not his
It's
fault.
My
our
daughter
fault.
Sophie called. She's upset about something.
Was she mad?
Maybe about the Phoebe Cates thing. I don't know.
Oh,
Fast
well,
times at Ridgemont.
listen. We treat this show like we're at deer camp.
Could have been the Farrah Fawcett poster. I don't.
You want to take it home with you?
You got one, don't you?
Hell
I think
yeah,
I
got
saw
one.
a podcast. You showed the thing.
Yeah, I did. That's Big Al sent it to
That
me.
kind of brown amber
Yeah,
one piece.
Yes,
The classic one from our younger days. that was
That's
everywhere.
disgusting.
you lie like a dog.
Shame.
Anthony. I like this guy more and more every second he's here. Before I want to ask you one question before we do the question of the night. Of those lakes, Sandy Cooper, Lake Norman, Douglas Lake, Lake Eufaula, St. Lawrence, Logan Martin, or Hartwell, which one are you looking most forward to and why?
Love them all. That was a big part of me getting into this tour also. I think it's a great people running this. I've heard great things about the NPFL, Brad Fuller and his whole family, everybody there. I've heard great things about him. Jerry Brousseau is the one that introduced me to that.
Okay.
Because they had sent him invitations maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but they kind of didn't have it together. I love Santee Cooper. So I made a check there last year, had the fish on to make the top 10, tried to sling a 7-pounder in the boat on the jig, and it hit the rub rail, unfortunately. And then I lost another 5 or 6 pounder on spinnerbait that I should have caught. But, there are 3 or 4 tournaments last year I lost big fish in. That would have put me in there. But, I work for a living. I work full-time. I run an architectural design business called Armour Home Design. We design houses in River Club, Sugarloaf, Reynolds and Oconee, all in Milton and Alpharetta. So I'm busy working, trying to run my business. So the only time I get to fish is in the tournaments. But I love Santee Cooper.
Yeah.
Love it. It's one of my favorite lakes. I fish in the top 10 probably 2 times in the Everstart, the Everstart Shred series back before it turned into FLW and all that. But it was mostly bedding fish.
Right.
And then last year I made a check there catching, in cypress trees and all that. But it's an amazing fishery. But it has Florida strain largemouth, so it could totally turn to crab.
Yeah.
If we get a cold front through there, it's going to be super tough. And that's but I love Lake Norman. I had to fish on to win Lake Norman in the Bassmaster Top 100 in 95.
Right.
I had the fish on and tried to lift it in the boat, and it broke my line on a buzzbait. It was like a 6-pounder, broke my line. So I had to fish on to win that tournament. And that was the first time Rick Clun ever talked to me.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm like the second day of the tournament, I had a big sack, had the biggest catch of the day, and I'm skipping a spinnerbait. You remember the old Hildebrandt spinnerbait?
I do.
The old 10,
yes, that was
flat shad end. Had the flat little number 4 blade on it, which I'm going to bring that sucker out this year. But skipping it under docks, and I was catching them on any dock piling that was next to the seawall. I'd catch them on those double pilings. They're set up there, garden fry, I think. But I had the fish on a buzzbait to win that tournament. But that was the old top 100 days. But you kind of think that maybe God kind of steps in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's been several times in my life where I kind of like, God didn't want me to win that tournament. God didn't want me to make the classic. In 2003, my engine blew up. The 10th tournament, I made it all the way. So before the Elite started, the Bassmaster Pro Tour had 10 tournaments. They had 6 qualifying events where all the top 75 qualifiers fished through the top 50 went to the 7th and 8th tournament, and then the top 10 fished the 9th and 10th tournament. So I made it all the way to the 10th tournament. My engine blew up first morning of the tournament on Alabama River. And I literally looked up and said, God, I get it. You don't want me to do this. And I never would have met my wife, or, if I would have won that tournament at Lake Norman, I think my life would have taken a total different direction. I would have met my wife, Nancy. I wouldn't have my 2 girls, Sophie and Natalie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Like, it's funny how things change. Just one little thing can change in your life. And you kind of, I'm not a huge church guy, but I definitely think spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I believe in God, and I believe that there's some big plan for us. And there are a lot of things happening in my life where I lose a fish, or like my motor would blow up. And it was like, there's something that he doesn't want me to be in this.
Yeah. No, I
get
get
what
it.
I mean?
Yeah.
Have you had that happen?
Well, just Josh coming up one day and goes, hey, you listen to podcasts? And I go, what the hell's a podcast? I really had no idea what a podcast was. He goes, well, you talk good. He said that. And he goes, I think you do halfway decent on a podcast. And that was 4.5 years ago or whatever.
you're great at it.
Well, thank you very much. It's my only superpower is I don't shut up.
Yeah, so I love Lake Norman. I had the fish. I love boat docks. James Watson, he loves fishing boat docks. I love fishing boat docks. I think that sets up really well.
Skipping's been brought up, about you several times already.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of those things. Like, people would fish with me and said, "How have you ever not won a tournament, or not won every tournament?" People would get in the boat, but sometimes that just doesn't work.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
yeah. I get
skip
that.
your brains out, and sometimes you're just not there.
So I see a couple of questions. We're going to get to you guys right after the question of the night. Okay, so let's take care of that. You got the question.
I got the question.
You got the question. And I saw Kevin in the comments several times. He's driving home in the truck. So you guys be safe and get home. Thank you for the chicken. He's the godfather of Publix.
Is he really? I love Publix.
He feeds us chicken every Thursday.
BOGOs, I'm there.
He has a guy deliver it to us when he's not here. Like, Kevin Thornton can get stuff that we got some more chicken wings right up there if you want them. You hungry? I don't know how I'd go without Julio, but whatever. All right. Anyway, let's pull up our buddies at Serve IT. Serve IT offers companies a complete one-stop solution for all their IT needs, starting with a human connection and a specialized program for small businesses. Serve IT offers smooth operating managed services with world-class software and data centers, 100% U.S.-based support, and most importantly, serving your company with honesty and integrity. Check them out at their website, serveit.net. And of course, I say it every time, if you guys are looking for a career change and you got that outgoing, customer service oriented attitude and you can be trained, you don't have to know IT, go to Serve IT, hit careers, tell them you heard about it at Fish North Georgia, and you will get at least a call, an opportunity to be with that company. So, well, we're going to do the question of the night while he's taking text messages and getting in trouble. What you're going to win tonight is I'm going to have you a Berkeley swim jig, and I'm going to have you some of these missile baits that are poured by RoboWorm. So anyway, let's put the camera on Tim, and there's 2 answers, right?
2 answers.
2 answers. First one in the comment section that gets it, I will send these to you. And Clint, you can't win.
Clint, you're disqualified.
Yeah, so let's pop it on them comments. Let's watch.
All right, we got them up. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys ready? What state has the most anglers in the 2025 NPFL tour?
And how many?
And how many?
Yeah, and how many? So you got to have the state and the number of anglers from that state.
And the number. What state has the most anglers represented in the NPFL 2025 tour, and how many?
All right,
2 answers.
So you guys, look, cameraman Cletus is playing anyway, even though he can't do it. So you guys, it's very interesting. And if the answer is wrong, it's Tim's fault, because he looked it up straight from.
It's all on me tonight.
It's all
Alabama's.
A lot of Alabama's, which is.
Boom.
Was that it right there?
Yep.
I saw it.
Georgia's the best ones.
It's the best one. Check that out.
Darian Moss.
That answer surprised me. North Carolina,
really,
with 20 anglers.
Wow.
I would have guessed Alabama. I might have guessed Georgia.
Jerry said 22 Alabama. He's a big Alabama fan, though.
Oh, bless his heart. Boy, he's hating life right now, ain't he?
Yeah, Nick Saban needs to come back.
He does. He does.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, the man's got to go. So anyway, who got Darian Moss? Again, you may have won before, and I may have your address. But if I don't, go ahead and send it to me on Facebook Messenger, and I will get these out. And Cody Campbell, I put yours in the mail from Tuesday night today, so you guys will be getting it. I appreciate you guys playing along. And but that surprised me.
North Carolina, Alabama fan, 18. Everybody,
a lot of Alabama. Which is this?
Sophia Armour said Georgia, 19. That's my girl.
Is that well? So
that's my baby right there.
Hey, we appreciate you joining us tonight. And again, listen, disregard anything that gets said on this podcast. It's my fault, not your dad's. All right, so I did that. But thanks for joining us.
Shout out my daughter Natalie. Oh, I need to shout out. Can I do a little shout out?
You can do whatever you want to do.
So I got to thank Rick Pierce of Bass Cat.
I noticed the shirt.
Believing in me, they're basically my only sponsor. Bait Shack Marine, incredible dealership. If you guys are looking for a boat, Bait Shack is the place to go. Great service, great people. A little story. My batteries broke down. I was fishing for fun, which I don't do a whole lot. But after Lake Martin getting my butt kicked by live scope, I said, I better go fish for fun and learn this live scope. So I fished 4 or 5 times in a couple of weeks here. I ran out of batteries. Brandon from Bait Shack Marine, the owner of Bait Shack Marine, I called him up and said, hey, man, my batteries are dead. You got an idea? He said, I'll come and help you. He drove all the way to Lake Lanier Friday night. Dinner with his family, all that stuff put on the back burner. Brandon drove all the way out to Charleston Park.
Right.
Brought his boat, drove out, and jumped my batteries for me where I could get back to the ramp. That's good. That's the kind of guys we're dealing with there at Bait Shack, Bass Cat. They're just good people.
Ken Pruitt would be very, very happy.
He's
got that Bass Cat on there. He loves Bass Cat. All right, let's scroll back up to the questions and start off. There was a question about underspins on Lake Lanier, I believe, and it's back up there. It is.
It's up there a ways.
Right there, Stephen Dubberly. Right, going up a little bit there. Is the underspin over for Lanier?
I don't think so. In these ditches, you just, I don't think live scope, not having live scope ends everything.
Right.
But the underspin's amazing this time of year, fishing those ditches.
Now, let me ask you, when you fish a ditch with an underspin, do you go for a heavier, like a half ounce? I know some guys actually go lighter.
Yeah, I usually use a half ounce.
You like the half ounce to get it down
usually
there?
those ditches you're fishing 28 to 35 feet,
Yeah.
In that timber there, they're not suspended this time of year as much,
How would you work it? Like, let's just say
I had to let it go all the way to the bottom
and
just
very
crawl
slow?
that thing off the bottom,
Okay. What do you use on the back of your underspin? Do you use a Kitech paddle style bait, or do you use more than
I usually use like a is it a 2.8?
Yeah,
Kitech?
2.8 Kitech.
I usually put a little 2.8 on there with just a fish head spin.
Yeah.
And I've got some of the Pulsar ones too, but I think the fish head spin works a little better for me for some reason. And I've got some of the new Gamakatsu ones too, but I think there's a little bit of I think it's important to have that the blades are far enough away from the paddle tail, the little bit longer shanks. The shorter shank ones, it seems like that blade doesn't really, it gets too much interruption.
Yeah.
So having a little longer shaft underneath that fish head, allows that bait to spin a little bit better.
Okay, good answer right there. Fred Ashcraft, have y'all ever fished against Tony Christina from the FLW BFL days? Do you know Tony Christina? And I hope I said that right.
For some reason.
Okay, so.
But, from 2003 when I retired from the Bass Pro Tour, I didn't fish for 3.5 years at all.
Right.
I kind of cold turkeyed it, and I didn't get back into tournament fishing again probably till 2016.
Okay.
So there was a big window there where I've kind of lost track of things.
Okay, I get that. Let's see. Pull up old Jerry. It's Brousseau?
Jerry and Hunter Brousseau. Yeah, Hunter's his grandson.
Yeah, so I have
all the next big
thing. I have all the faith in Allen doing well in the NPFL this year. He is going to hammer them on Santee. Well, listen, there's some confidence right there.
Yeah, that's my buddy Jerry.
Did you watch the Elites on Santee last year?
I did. It was all front facing sonar.
It was, but you know what amazed me?
It was like 2 weeks before, though.
Yeah, you know what amazed me about that, though? That was the first time I've seen a lake where the largemouth school like the spots do on Lanier and just come up and, I've not seen
that live scope kind of allows you to find those fish.
Yeah,
and isolate them and find the brush out in weird places, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like Jacob Wheeler, Dustin Connell, those guys dominated that tournament. But then when the bass got there a couple of weeks later, like all the scope guys kind of died there. Emil, Paul, who dominated, like they did really well in all the other tournaments, but that was the one tough tournament for them. So that kind of goes back to my theory of if they would, the organization scheduling these events need to be more aware.
Yeah, I get what you were saying. That
so if you put them on a lake where scope's not going to dominate, it helps.
To even out the playing
like
field.
Don't ban the thing, don't eliminate. I'm not this. I have this hate against live scope. I think a live scope's amazing. Can't stop technology, right?
Right.
Like even my buddy Kerry Dixon, he fishes in these saltwater tournaments for marlin and tuna and all that stuff. The things they have on the saltwater boats now.
Yeah, I heard they can see like way
like a mile.
There. Yeah, like it's stupid. Did you know they could go that far out?
Yeah, those things are amazing.
It's like
that's why a lot of guys were bringing them over into the freshwater.
Isn't that what Hamner had on his boat? Wasn't it the saltwater last year?
It's an LV62, I think.
Yeah,
maybe. And that's the long run. And I thought about getting that one, but
they banned it though.
I don't see a lot of benefit in it for bass fishing because you can really only, like when I see, like I have perspective and front facing on my boat. I have both Garmin 1222s who Sea Clear, Nathan over Sea Clear. Those guys over there are amazing. I love the Sonar Pro guys too, Trent. I just happen to have a relationship with Sea Clear. But we put the perspective and the front facing. So when you have both of those, it's amazing what you can see. So when I go on Lanier, I have the perspective and I can see the bait out like at 150 feet.
Right.
But you can really only cast a lure. Like if you make I'm talking about launching a super spook or something like that.
Yeah.
We all think we can throw 70 yards and all that.
You're
stuff.
not.
No. Dude, to throw a 150-yard cast, and I can do it on braid, like with a 20-pound braid and a fluoro leader if FG not. But it's almost impossible to throw over 150 feet.
Yeah, I definitely can't.
And I'm talking about throwing one where it looks like a football NFL punt. It's like 5-6 seconds, every time.
I take that back. I can. I've done it before, but that was right when I went to go forward. My line goes pop. And that's where that damn bait just goes. Woo.
Call that braid lock.
I got that too. So, Stephen Pellerin, I hope I said that correctly. Allen, looking forward to meeting you this season at the NPFL, a.k.a. Stephanie's husband. Now I know who you are. You know Stephanie?
Stephanie.
Well, it's Stephanie Hewerton or something Pellerin. She's fished the NPFL a couple years.
Well, I look forward to meeting you too, Steve.
Yeah, no. And, I met her down at ICAST, and I believe, Stephen, I met you as well. You were with her. We were in the booth right across from what was that company they were representing? Because they had Trey McKinney there and all that too. It was a clothing company. It was a clothing company. And I can't remember the name, but I met her there and everything. Very sweet woman, and you were very nice as well.
He looks like a golfer.
He likes golf, I think. Yeah,
I used to love golf.
I hate golf. It's the biggest waste of deer woods out there. I'm serious. Every time there's a good place to hunt, let's put a golf course there. That probably helps you in the home. You mentioned Sugarloaf. I used to do heat and air. That's what I did for 25 years. So when Sugarloaf started, and they all used to do the houses we used to do all metal back then. I was the duck guy. I put in a lot of stuff at Sugarloaf.
Back you didn't work for Stewart Pro Air, did you?
No, I worked for Nice Jones Heating and Air back in the day. It's Nice Heating and Air now.
They're a good company.
Yeah, that's who I worked for. But I always got those houses out at Sugarloaf because they had the metal square duck in them and had to be, you're looking at, they're nice homes.
Yeah, they're nice.
Yeah, so there is a story about a porn star that I'll tell you later off the air.
We'll do that after.
Yeah, we'll do that. No,
my daughter to call me again.
Sorry, we'd like for him to be back. We want him to get a pass to come back on the show at some time.
Let's just say it had to do with like special.
How come my wife hasn't commented on this?
She's probably mad at you.
Watching.
She's probably mad right now. Hunter fishing. Anyone seen the shad kill in Georgia this year? Now I've heard a couple of guys on Lanier say they've seen them, little small ones back in the creeks. Small ones, not a full blown shad kill. But somebody on the Facebook page they posted one from a lake somewhere, a smaller lake, and there was thousands of shad, but that's a small lake.
I haven't seen any shad kill on Lanier, but I was up deep in Thompson Creek on Sunday, and I was seeing 38 to 40 on the Garmins, and I ran into a whole lot of ice, but I didn't really see anything else other than that.
Yeah,
I think what saved it is there wasn't a big freeze during the turnover.
Is that normally when it really gets the lake right there?
I think that's what really gets them. We had pretty mild weather throughout the entire fall turnover.
Yeah, and then it went to crap.
Yeah, but it's wintertime now, so I think they're already kind of deep enough. And
I have a theory.
But to be honest with you, if I'm fishing more than 5 or 6 foot deep, I'm freaking out. Like that underspin comment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like doing that kind of stuff.
You don't like it? You're a
I'm
bank
power
beater?
fisherman.
Power fisherman?
Yeah. Like
right?
that bass masters I won it flipping a jig in like 3 foot of water.
Yeah.
You know, flipping mats and, you know, that kind of thing.
Oh,
skipping
Lord,
boat docks.
mats.
And,
I'm gonna get you started on grass. We carried him to Gunnersville.
Oh.
well, it was just, you know how after you have a big rain, you have some debris mats.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Lake of the Ozarks has all bluffy walls. Like back in the creeks, you'll have a vertical bluff wall, and then the other side's kind of clay flat.
Yeah.
So I was keying in on those little channel bends there, and then the wind would blow those little debris mats, like sawdust, kind of black sawdust mats up
Yeah.
on the bank there. And the water had come up like 8 feet and dropped 6 feet in like 6 days.
Oh wow!
In that tournament. So it was a lot of movement there. But I was catching them on those vertical banks back in the like 2/3 back in the creek and flipping those masts. And it was a funny thing in practice when I'd flip in there, I would pitch.
Right.
And I was throwing an old rattleback jig. You remember that?
Mhm.
Like Danny Brower, Tommy Biffle, Rick Clun, Randy Black, all those guys. Gary Klein won so many tournaments on that jig. Now you don't see that kind of jig anymore. It's a horizontal line tie with a big, you know, the rattle kind of built in.
Yep.
You could slide the trailer under it, and great jig. And I'll probably still use it this year.
There you
got to
go.
get them on eBay now.
I like it.
But if you move the mat, the fish would spook. So you pitch it out there, and so in practice, I pitched it out there and I'd move, and you see the mat kind of move
Right.
with the line. The line would move the mat, and you see a swirl. And I thought they were carp in practice. I didn't get a bite in practice, but I saw a lot of those spook kind of places. So when I went to my primary area up the river, I flipped in there and I moved the bank, and I had a fish on, and I never felt the bite. You know how they just grab it. And sit
Oh
there?
yeah.
Early in the winter, or early in the spring, like that, late winter, they have a tendency to grab that bait and hang on to it. Like literally, they don't suck it in; they just bite it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you set the hook, the line jams the head against the lip.
Yes.
You don't ever hook them. And all of a
Yes.
sudden, they jump and their mouth's opened. Right.
Yeah.
So the first fish I felt, I said, "What is that? What is that?" And I set the hook and I get it, you know, and it comes up and I get it right by the boat, and the hook flies out, and knocks my hat off.
Not a good feeling.
And I go, "Oh God!" So it opened its mouth. It's like a 5-pounder. I said, "These fish are grabbing it. They're just grabbing it. I need to quit setting the hook on these fish, you know." And then a couple of times before that, I had dropped the rod. Like, oh, there's one. I was using a 20-pound like easy cast mono. You know,
Right.
back then we didn't have fluorocarbon.
No, you didn't.
So I said, oh, there's one, and a big flipping stick, cast away, you know, and I'd set the hook and the line would go over the boat, and you'd feel a thump. You know what I mean?
I do.
You set the hook and they'd spit it. It's because they spit it. And then I had that one fish, you know, open its mouth, and I said, man, these fish are just grabbing the bait. So I reached in my rod locker, and I had a rod in there with a jig on it with 50-pound like Dacron wave braided line. That was called Tough Line.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that. It's like white and black nylon.
Yes.
It looked like something a cat fisherman would use.
A lot of guys call it cat gut. That's what I always heard.
Well, I got that
Yeah.
from Santee Cooper. And that's what those guys use flipping the big grass mats out there.
Okay.
So I had one rod in the rod locker, and I said, man, I can't drop and set the hook. So I pitched that thing out there, and I just started reeling. You know, just reeling like you would rattle trap or spinner or something. And I started catching them. And then one of the things, if you drop the rod, they would spit the bait. Like you'd pitch it out there, and if you move the mat, they would spit it. It'd spook them. So I put the trolling motor on like 1.5 or 2. And never let off it. And I just started flipping, like literally flipping.
Right.
You know, old school Danny Brower stuff, you know what I mean? Like flipping. And where I could vertically move that bait without moving the mat. And then I started catching them. That's how I won that Bassmaster tournament.
Really?
Yeah. You know, Rick Clun talks about this zone that you get in.
Mm-hmm.
I was in that zone. And it only happens a couple of times maybe in your life.
Yeah.
You know, where you like, man, I just got it. I got it figured out, you know?
Yeah.
And then just making that adjustment to the braid and then to the flipping, you know, won the tournament for me. And I ended up catching like 18 keepers in that tournament. There were only 3 limits caught in that entire event.
Wow.
340 pros.
Wow.
And I bet I culled 12 fish in that thing.
Really?
15 fish in that thing, yeah.
Excuse me. I had that happen to me on Lanier 2 years ago. I was throwing a shaky head, set the hook on a good one. I hear the drag is going, and all of a sudden my line goes slack. And of course, I said some choice words, and then I had to say, Lord, forgive me. And then I say, Lord, forgive me 100 times on a Saturday. I threw back in there, set the hook, and I fought this one. It was about a 3.5 pound spot. And when it got to the boat, he goes, just open his mouth. And my shaky head, and I pull it up, and the hook's not even
Just flew
penetrated the worm. And Logan Millsaps, I was telling you, that happened to me 3 times. And what he was saying is the way they sucked it up, or where they bit on it, their mouth shut immediately. And then when I tried to set the hook, I couldn't get any, leverage to get the hook in there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're such pissed off fish, they just swim around with their
It's
mouth
like a
closed.
crab when you bite.
Yeah.
They can grab something and the line just jams it against their mouth. They're so hard on it. And everybody talks about these chatterbaits and jackhammers and all the fiberglass rods. I'm not a big believer in that. And watch the videos on how many of those fish are actually hooked inside of their mouth. 95% of them are hooked with that head's out of their mouth. What's a fiberglass rod help there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it.
So, but when they clamp onto that bait, they clamp on it and the line's pulling, it's just jammed against their mouth. They clamp on it so hard. And that happens a lot. Like I fished Bassmaster term on Lake Martin one time where they would dump it. Man, I mean, the biggest bite, and I had 50 pound, 60 pound braid and all that. And I'd set the hooks as hard as I could set it. And I'd winch them into the boat and they'd open their mouth and the jig would fly out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's infuriating.
And it usually happens more in those colder weather months when they first move up shallow. And these fish were in like 6 inches of water, 8 inches of water, 12 inches. They were shallow and they were just thumping that bait. I mean, you just feel it jam, like sucker in. So, I got them. And you set the hook and then they open their mouth and it come off.
I've had the kids fishing, and they don't set the hook. They just, oh my God, start reeling. Well, they'll flip them over in the boat. Lure goes flying. Fish is flopping around when I get to look.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it happens a lot more.
The worm was never penetrated by the hook. They were just holding on for dear life, and the kid was good enough, or not knowing any better, just reeled them up and flips them over in the boat before the fish realizes to let go.
I should have done that. Pull up Tony Watkins' question right there.
I lost it right there.
Yeah. Now, you said you ain't crazy about an underspin. So, Alex, you and Tim might can answer this one as well. In what situations would you use an underspin versus a Kitech on a jig head? So, underspin compared to a ball head.
All of them. I throw it in all of them.
Underspin?
I don't have forward facing sonar yet, so I don't use a jig head a lot.
Okay. All right. What about you, Tim?
The blade is going to generate some vibration that's going to be picked up by the lateral lines.
Right.
And you're going to get more of an attraction.
Yeah.
Maybe ditch fishing, just go with a ball head if you're just digging along like the ditch diggers.
Right. Yeah.
But if you're burning that thing across, why not have a blade on it?
Yeah. I think a lot of the guys that are using the forward facing use the ball head because they're doing more of I guess I don't want to say doodling, but
more twitching.
More
Yeah,
twitching.
they're doing more of the top line.
There's a time and place for both of them.
Now, I throw a ball head jig with a Kitech swim bait, a 3-point. Is the 3.2?
3.3.
3.3.
Yeah.
3 point. What's the next one up? 3.7?
3.8.
3.8.
3.8.
So
that's the one I throw
3.3,
90%
3.8,
of the time. And when I'm in a clear water lake, like Lake Norman or Lake Lanier or Lake Martin, Logan Martin even, when there's spots there, I'll throw that on like a 3/8 ounce jig head instead of like a swim bait or a chatterbait around docks.
Oh, okay, around docks.
So like, we fished, what's that lake over, what's that lake in Alabama? Real deep, clear lake. Smith Lake.
Yeah.
I fished a Toyota series there, and I was catching the fish on that, skipping under the docks, and it's kind of those suspended fish under there. That's a great bait to throw on suspended spots, especially.
A 3.8 Kitech.
3.8 Kitech. And it's got a little different wag to it. So when I tried the 4+ inch one, it's a little too slow. So that 3.8 has a really nice kick to it.
Okay, as you some juice right there.
3/8 or a 1/4 ounce jig head. You can use any, like the Dirty Jigs. Dirty Jigs has a great one. That Matt Allen Tactical Bassin one's the one I use most of the time. But there's several other ones out there. I think as long as you, and I'm not a fan of that wire guard.
Okay,
you know what I mean, like the keeper.
Yeah,
I'd rather them get rid of that thing. I hate it. It destroys lures. It doesn't hold the baits.
Yeah.
You'll go through 100 times more trailers with that thing. So I wish people would quit making those. Put the old school lead and go ahead and mold that little angle in there like a little arrow, and that thing holds much better.
Spot Choker Finesse model has a keeper like that.
It's
not a wire.
Yeah, the spot choker makes good bait.
Yeah, he does. Absolutely does. Let's see. Cody Campbell.
Mom doesn't need to. What's
Uh-oh.
Sophie Armour? What's she say? Who's that?
We're put her right there. Mom doesn't need to comment because she knows I will. Well,
alrighty then.
That's my Sophie there. She won the you remember HD Marine? They used to have the couples and kids tournament.
Yes.
So Sophie was 8 years old, and the first tournament she ever fished with me, she caught the biggest fish of the tournament. So the junior 16 and under got to weigh in one fish, and that was their tournament.
She had big fish.
So she won the trophy. She won like $20 cash, a big Yamaha visor, and she won all this tackle stuff.
Yeah,
I got a little picture. That's one of the pictures
I
sent you.
Yes, I saw that picture.
Yeah.
That is awesome right there. Just for everybody.
And let's not forget my daughter Natalie.
Yeah, Natalie.
There she is. Hey Nat, I love you.
There you go. This may be his first and only time here on the podcast, so I hope not.
Does that sound like that? They won't invite me back?
Yeah, you're welcome.
You have an open invitation if they'll let you come back.
That's right. Now that I know you exist, I'm like, how did I not know this guy? Cody Campbell, what's your go-to weather for a cranking bite?
I love January, February. This time of year, shad wrap, little, and the bait they quit making is a little rattling wrap. You remember that?
I do remember that.
It's a little bitty small, but it
Very
kind of looks
small.
like a tiny wiggle wart.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it has little rattles in it.
Mm-hmm.
I crush them. Fire tiger this time of year. I was telling my buddy Joey Bart, I don't know, Joey, you guys know Joey. He's a great fisherman. Pretty decent baseball player, I think.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's getting married to one of my old family friends, like Maddie Fry. So Jonathan and Susan Fry are old customers of mine, and so Joey's marrying the daughter of one of my old customers.
Oh, there you go. It's a small world.
So actually, Joey took me fishing. He is a hell of a fisherman.
Really?
He took me fishing in his boat, and we were live scoping fish on a Spro rock crawler.
Yeah.
That dude's good, man. Yeah, he's a good fisherman. Him and his brother both, I think, are hammers. What was I talking about?
Hell, I don't even remember.
Hey, Sophie.
I was going with the flow. Kyle Brown said they had a few on the south end last weekend on Allatoona, nothing huge. I imagine he's probably talking about the shad kill. Now, this is a question, Far Dog, good question, because we actually had this conversation before the show.
We did.
We
certainly did.
How good a bass fishing guy is Randy Blockett truly? And you have fished with him, so you get to answer that question.
I think Randy Blockett was a great fisherman. He was a good fisherman. He's friends with Rick Clunn, like we had talked about earlier. So Randy Blockett, I think, gets a little bit of a bum rap, kind of like my buddy Roland.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like to get to know them, they're really good guys. I think Randy gets his ass kicked over this live scope thing, but I think he's kind of bringing it on maybe a little bit. But I like Randy. I fished with him in a Bassmaster, what's called an open now, but they were invitationals. And I fished on Lake of the Ozarks with him, the lake where I won a Bassmasters at. Mm-hmm. And we were fishing there in the fall. And just long story short, I didn't have any of the lures that he was using. And he gave me one. And I don't know if anybody knows, Ed Chambers made custom balsa baits that are kind of a replica of the old Bagley Balsa B3.
Right. And
these are prototypes, like probably invaluable right now. I bet those things would be worth $1,000, those ones that he gave me.
Right.
But I didn't have one. So I have one of those old Bassmaster, you get the old Big O Fred Young 1967 anniversary, when you signed up for Bath. That was the only square bill crankbait I ever had in my life at that time. This is probably like 95, 96. I didn't throw square bill.
Right.
My dad didn't even own one. We'd throw some like old Strike King deep divers, DB3s, that kind of stuff. But I didn't even know what a square bill was or did. Yeah. But I wish I would have known earlier. So we're fishing boat docks over there, and Randy's catching them on old 1-, which I used to be sponsored by Mann's, a great American company. Unfortunately, it's closed down now, which breaks my heart.
Right,
actually,
for sure.
But he's throwing a big 1-, one of the big old things, and I had some, but I never threw them, never caught a fish on them. But he's waking that bait. I like a Lake of the Ozarks. They love the bait waking across in the fall.
Right.
Like they'll throw big spinnerbait plays. And it's funniest thing, there's like. He taught me one of the things about Lake of the Ozarks is that, like, the cable that goes up, they'll get on the shade line, which is about this big. And one time he said, God, look at that big fish there. It was like a 7-pounder. hiding under the shade line. And I said, that big girl thinks she's hidden, right? But she's just standing there.
It's like the
It's like
ostrich
you in
hiding
that
its
chair.
head.
You know what I mean?
They can't see me.
But anyway, long story short, he ended up giving me the lures that I needed because I broke the bill off of that big O bait. And I didn't have anything else. And he gave me one of those old Ed Chambers ones. He said, this should work the same. And I ended up catching a limit fishing with him. He was a great guy to fish with. Very, very helpful. You know, like another guy, Kevin Van Dam, was one of those guys that was very helpful. Like he wasn't one of those like snobby guys. You know, I think a lot of fishermen, there's so much jealousy. You know, like with Roland Martin, guys like that. Like I became friends with Roland because I'm not afraid of him. I'm not afraid to talk to him. You know what I mean? And,
for sure. You treat him like
he's just a regular guy, and he's a regular guy to you. But there was so much jealousy and like Kevin Van Dam, that dude, he gave me sunglasses one time. I'm out there working baits at we're at Lake St. Clair or something like that, and he comes over and says, "Hey man, you need to throw some." He like gives me some hooks, like the triple grips. Remember those when they first came out?
I do.
And I had kind of a tough day, and I lost a lot of fish. You know, they jump, those big smallmouth, they jump. He said, "What hooks are you using?" I said, "Just regular, like VMCs or something, you know, just round bend." And he says, "Hey man, try these." And he like literally went to his boat and brings me treble hooks, you know. So I'd say Randy Blaukett, Kevin Van Dam, those are the kind of guys that really want to help people. You know what I mean? Like Kevin was always free with knowledge. Like one day we're sitting, we're fogged in at Pascagoula River in Mississippi. And I said, "Man, I don't have my sunglasses." And we're fogged in for like till 10:30. Right. You know what I mean? And he gives me a pair of Strike King yellow lenses so I can kind of, you know.
Oh yeah.
Guido Hibden did the same thing. He gave me some of those flying fisherman glasses.
Did he really?
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many great fishermen in this world, you know, some of the old school guys, especially. I don't know. Like, you know, it's a funny thing when I go to these tournaments now, I'm an older guy. Nobody knows me. You don't know me, right?
I do now.
But the guys that in the tournaments, I'll walk by 50 guys going to the registration, and these young guys won't even look you in the eye. They won't even acknowledge you. Like if I walk by you in the street, I'll probably say, "Hey man, how's it going?"
Yeah, that's the way I am.
Because we're all there to fish. We know that.
Yeah.
Right. But there's so many of these guys. And if you guys are listening, you young and up and comer guys, you know, it seems snobby almost. You know what I mean? Like they breathe a different air than you or something.
Right.
And, you know, when somebody walks by you as human beings, you know, Americans, acknowledge your existence.
I
know
agree.
what I mean? It's just so many people that
Absolutely.
walk by. I mean, I literally walk from me to you by these guys, and they won't even look at you. You know, and you're like, hey, you know, you're ready to kind of say, "Hey, man, how's it going?" You know,
and you
like dogs go by and they'll sniff you on the ass or something. You know,
Right.
at least they, you know, "Hey, man, how's it going?"
What's up?
You know, at least they, you know, but anyway, so
that's a good analogy. I like it. Yeah.
Sorry, Sophie. In that, but anyway, I just think
look
some
at
of
that.
these younger anglers that are
Miss
watching, I don't
Nancy's
care about
watching.
live scope and all this other stuff, but I do notice there's a coldness about, like when I go fish these things, I'm all alone out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you know, there's no chance of me. It's kind of like going to a big giant church.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Where your number?
They're great, but nobody talks to you.
Yeah.
You go to a small church, they're like, oh, hugging you. Oh,
more
how
personal.
are you?
You need to go to mine because I tell you what, I don't shut up the entire time until the preacher starts talking.
Sound like your guest tonight.
Yeah, don't listen. I love it. Now, also too, now Miss Nancy is watching, and she says you're a cutie.
Who says that?
Your wife, right there. You're a cutie. Now, Nancy, listen. Honestly, he's cute. I think he could have done better. No, I'm just kidding.
And the great words of Dave Chappelle. Word.
I like that. Now, listen,
Miss Nancy, may he come back again sometime?
Yeah, I
Can we
appreciate-
politely ask.
That's right. I appreciate you letting him come out and play with
just
us
a time or
tonight.
two.
So that's good. So all right, let's scroll on down and see if we got any more questions that I haven't asked.
Did I not answer the last question?
I don't even remember what the last question was. So I think you did. But that's good.
I think you covered it.
I think that's good.
What's that say? Randy has blocked me.
No, that was the question.
Both my YT accounts.
Randy, he hasn't blocked me yet. I've been a little critical of him with just the forward facing stuff. I just think there's
Yo, Jerry.
So you see that? Let's see. Tracy Coker had that same thing happen today where they just spit it out and all that. Drop and spit. We're still that crossing.
Yeah, so that happens early in the year, like the early spring, late winters, when they seem to kind of clamp onto that bait.
Appalachian Bass Angler. What's up, men? Kids are finally asleep. There you go. So that's Farmer, I believe it is. Did he change it?
Yeah, he did, but he's going to change it back. He just has to wait.
I got you.
So if you want to make a little
Farmer's
money,
having some identity crisis or something with his name. So.
What was it like fishing with Denny and Bill?
That was what I was going to ask you. What was it like to fish with those two guys?
It was amazing because remember the story I was telling you that I practiced flipping. So Denny Brower was kind of one of my heroes.
Yeah, for sure.
Roland Martin, of course, Rick Clunn, just from his achievements. But as far as fishing style, I love the way Denny fished. So that's what I kind of emulated, and that's what I practiced. That's what I was practicing for, to be kind of the next Denny Brower. And that's how I won the tournament. Like those are
not a bad person to mold yourself after.
So we were both sponsored by Lunker Lure at the time, which I don't know if they're even in business anymore.
Are they?
But Brent Gentry was the owner of him, and his family owned Lunker Lure, and I don't know if they're in business anymore, but they made the best jig back then. So the first time I fished with Tommy Biffle, I was fishing with God rest him, Stanley jig with a horizontal line tie. And I was getting hung up every cast. Same head, but it had vertical line tie. So I'm fishing in the back of the boat, and Tommy Biffle's getting frustrated with me. We're fishing at Beaver Lake. First tournament I ever fished. That Beaver Lake anniversary tournament. I draw Tommy Biffle. He's leading.
And you're in the back of the boat.
He goes way up the White River, and he's flipping, and I'm hung up in every tree. I said, man, I'm hung up. I only have like 6 of these. Because, when you first start fishing, you got maybe 4 jigs. You think that should last you the year, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's what, Nancy, if you're listening, you can lose 4 jigs in like an hour. So
I promise he's not lying.
So Tommy Biffle goes, what kind of jig you throwing? You throwing a Stanley jig? I bet you're throwing a Stanley jig, aren't you? And I says, how'd you know that? He said, because you're getting hung up every cast. So he gives me one of the rattleback jigs, and I start not getting hung up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It makes a difference.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Jerry wants to know if we're told, how about what if you could throw one bait all year? What would it be? If you could only throw it, buzz bait all year?
I wish I could throw a buzz bait all year. I love throwing buzz bait. It's my favorite.
See, now,
but like realistically, a jig. So now I throw a Phoenix jig, which is, you've heard of Phoenix Bait Company out of California.
Actually,
Robert Schneider's the owner of that.
Okay.
So if you remember Brent Ayler, who's all the California guys that are doing so good now, big time guys.
We have people honk at me every time they go by the store. You just got to throw your hand up and wave.
Yeah. But anyway, they sponsor 3 of the biggest fishermen from out west, California. Robert Schneider, if you're listening, great lure company. Actually, the tournament I won, the FLW, I won on Lake Wheeler. I won it on a 1/2 ounce pro line flipping jig.
Okay.
They still do hand-tied living rubber, blue flash, incredible jig. And then they've got a stand-up casting jig that has like a 6/0 EWG hook in it. Yes. Best swim jig.
Okay.
Best swim jig ever. But you don't want to lift 6-pounders in with it.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand completely what you're saying.
But I love throwing a jig. I'd say if I had to have one jig or one bait, it would be a jig for sure.
So Dave Aldridge is on our show with us quite often. He says Lunker Lure is that's his buzz bait. That's the buzz bait he used. So they're still in business.
The original OG, I guess you call it.
Yeah. He loves that buzz bait. Scroll us no, we got that question. Going out of tune to practice.
Fish with Peter T. Yes, he was on my Crown Royal Pro team.
You were sponsored by Crown Royal.
Yes.
At the time. That's a
big, big.
That's a heavy sponsor.
So my old friend John Curry, I was telling you about, we actually started Crown Royal fishing team. So when we started that back in '98, you couldn't put Crown Royal on your boat.
Right.
It was a legal thing with Crown Royal. And, I was talking to somebody today about this, actually, like the liquor companies, everybody thinks it's outlawed. Like there's a government ban against advertising but it's not. It's like a gentleman agreement between all these liquor companies that they don't want to be banned.
Understood.
Kind of like cigarette tobacco.
Yeah.
They took it too far, right?
Yeah.
So Marlboro and all those, they used to sponsor everything.
Yeah,
Formula One. Now they've banned it.
Yeah, there's a law because I would love to have a tobacco sponsor.
So Crown Royal, Captain Morgan's, all those, they're very aware of that.
Right.
So that they basically stay out of it. I thought it was illegal. I asked the guys, I said, hey man, is it illegal for you to advertise? I said, no, it's not illegal at all. There's no law against us advertising. We just choose not to.
You still on good terms with them?
I haven't talked to those guys in I retired from fishing in 2003.
Yeah, but you need to pull
You know
some
who-
strings. I'd love a
You know, the
Crown Royal
reason I'm here
sponsorship.
right now is probably Steve Stanfield. If you're listening out there, Steve Stanfield, you know that guy?
Mm-mm.
He owns a glass company in Dawsonville. Great friend, great Christian guy. But anyway, we'd run into him at church, and I hadn't fished for 3 years, cold turkey, like literally
Right.
nothing. When you fish the tournaments and you kind of,
I get it.
Yeah. So Steve said, hey, we should fish the tournament sometime. And then I said, yeah, whatever, man. Yeah, nice to meet you, kind of thing. And then we kind of became friends, kind of get to know each other. And then he said, hey, there's an HD Marine tournament coming up this weekend. And I need a partner. You want to fish it? And I'm like, yeah, what the hell? Let's do it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we go out and win the thing. They're like 23 pounds, swimming jigs around docks. Steve's a hell of a fisherman. Great guy.
But did that light the fire back up under you?
That kind of brought me back a little bit. And then, so like a couple weeks later, one of my customers lives at Hawks Ridge. You know where that is?
I do. That's old Smoltzy's place.
Man, fishing at that place. So I had a customer out there. I was designing houses for him. And he said, hey, man, I just saw that I Googled you and you're like a pro fisherman. Why don't you come fish with me? We'll go fishing. We'll play golf and fish. So we had golf bag in the back of the cart with fishing rod in there. And I brought my spinning rod with 6-pound fire line and a methylate trickworm. We were talking about trickworms earlier.
We did.
That's all I had. 6-pound fire line. And I bet I caught 30 fish that day. Caught one over 8 pounds. And
off the golf course.
Walking the bank at Hawks Ridge. I could see the clubhouse up there.
Oh, you
Big,
need
huge
pull
fish
some strings.
So that kind of got me fired up a little bit.
Yeah. Kyle Brown. Going to Alatoona Saturday to practice my forward facing sonar skills. Any suggestions? Just got it 2 weeks ago.
Call James Watson.
Yeah. Don't.
James,
do
you still listening?
Yeah.
Yeah, we might need some advice on front facing.
But I would say the biggest thing.
No, I met Jimmy Houston, though.
Yeah,
I
met Jimmy Houston
several times.
Yeah, I've not met him.
I love that guy.
I met Bill Dance, but I haven't met Houston. I haven't met Roland Martin yet, but maybe you can kind of fix that for me right there.
Yeah, Roland Martin's awesome. Jimmy Houston's awesome. I got to spend a little time with Jimmy. So in 1994, I won that Bassmasters tournament, so it qualified for the Superstars event,
right,
in Peoria, Illinois. So there were 30 guys there. The only people that fished that were tournament winners for that year. Me and Tommy Biffle and a couple. Davey Height, he was there. That was the first tournament he won. My tournament wasn't televised. Davey Height's tournament wasn't televised. So I won on Lake of the Ozarks, and they televised the Bass National Championships. That kind of hurt my career. It's one of those God things. It's like, maybe you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like, how's this stuff happen to me? You kind of say, why does this always happen to me? And the Davey Height wins that you followed, they didn't televise his either. But then he's like Angler of the Year and Hall of Famer, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I get it.
But that's where I met Jimmy Houston. I met him on the elevator, and him and his wife were amazing. Like, he would take his wife to every tournament, and they were just the nicest people.
I like him, but man, we got to do something with that hair.
That hair is awesome. My mom perfected that haircut.
He loves that. I had it back in the 70s.
I call it the Three Stooges the Mo cut.
Yeah.
My mom did that to me until about 9th grade. And then my first haircut outside of my mom, Nancy, I finally got a girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had the Mo cut all the way through.
Did you? Hey, I understand it. Let's see. Go back up to that real quick.
I was way up there, yeah.
Yeah, there was something about – no, you went too far. You didn't go back. It was back from his buddy Brousseau.
Jerry
Brousseau. Keep on going back down to Brousseau.
We're missing a lot of these.
Yeah, we're missing. Guys, listen.
Pickleball. Yeah, I love tennis a lot more.
If we missed your comment tonight, we have been talking a lot, so please forgive us for that. But Papa Cates. He's If we're way. You need to come way on back down this way. You're way too far up. But anyway, what he said something about. He could come on if Roland Martin.
Yeah, that was way up there.
Oh, was it? We missed it that bad?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Lord. Okay, so you were there.
Ricky Green, fishing machine.
How about the old Tylenol pill?
Wainster. That's my old college buddy. We started fishing tournaments together. Wayne Pittman made the classic through the Federation. I don't know if you know that guy.
No, I didn't.
So
I'm learning everybody.
I retired from fishing, and Wayne Pittman, he still fishes all the clubs, and he makes the regional and the sectionals and whatever. I don't fish bass clubs anymore, but he still does that, and he's a very good fisherman. Great friend. Yeah, we were like brothers in
so he's got some
college.
stories.
So the Tylenol pill is basically the Sluggo, So I got on this little sluggo rant where I'm going to fish the sluggo all year, all conditions.
Right.
It's kind of like that's how I learned to throw a jig.
Mm-hmm.
Like
committed to it.
For I don't know how long I never could catch them on jig. I'd read Denny Brower and Tommy Biffle, Basil Bacon, Guido. They're all catching them on lunker lure jigs and all that. I could not get a bite on jig. So I said, this year I'm throwing a jig all year. So the next year I threw a sluggo all year. Like literally almost every tournament through the sluggo. So Wayne would fish buddy tournaments with me over at West Point. That's where we fish tournament every weekend. That's where I learned tournament fish. And he'd dip that tail of that sluggo in pink. The fire dye.
Yeah, okay.
The old Tylenol pills were like white and pink.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why he called it.
That's why he calls it Tylenol pill.
And he would dead stick that thing. Like I don't have patience. My sluggo would come through the water like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just working it. He'd throw it out there and let it sit.
That's the power fisherman in you.
Yeah. I don't have maybe OCD. I don't know.
Well, see, I got that
ADD
too,
something.
but I take medicine for it, but I can take I really do. But I'll take everybody that watches this show knows me. I will take a weightless wacky rig and I can chunk that joker out over a 40-foot brush pile and I can sit. I got all the patience in the world.
I can do it with front facing sonar,
but I can't do it with nothing else. That's the only bait I have that kind of patience for.
The only thing I have patience for is if I see a bed fish. I can sit there for 10 minutes and not move the bait. Let's see, Ricky Green.
Yeah,
I fished with his son at so in 2002 or 1, I had to qualify through the Opens. I fished the Central Opens to qualify for the Pro Tour. Just like the Opens have to qualify now for the elites.
Yes.
I had to qualify for that 2003 season. So I fished the Central Division, but it was pro and pro. So I fished with Ricky Green's son. I can't remember his name, but he was leading the tournament the first day. So I couldn't flip him for boat. I was in like 12th place. So I had to fish with him. He was bed fishing the whole time. Ricky Green's son was a good fisherman. But Ricky Green was a hell of a fisherman too.
I got you.
I think the last time I saw Ricky Green was at Ross Barnett in Mississippi. I think David Fritz might have won that tournament. But Ricky Green was catching him on spinnerbait. Shaw Grigsby was catching him on that. It was the first year that Terminator titanium spinnerbait came out. Like the top 5, maybe 4 of those guys besides David Fritz. Dave Fritz is going to throw a crankbait. Yeah. But the other 4 out of the top 5 were all in that Terminator titanium spinnerbait.
I remember that. Kevin loves that one. Ain't that the one Kevin loves?
Oh, yeah.
That Terminator?
Yeah, we would go to great lengths
I'm
to
a little
retrieve
secret.
those.
Yeah.
Santee Cooper, when I made a check there last year.
Yeah.
Titanium spinnerbait.
Really?
Old school.
Thornton would love that thing.
Old school.
Pull up Jerry's comment. Right
there.
And in that of no, I can't do subtitles. I'm sorry about your wife. So
she
just needs to join. I did not know that. I appreciate you letting me know that. Jimmy told God he wasn't going to cut his hair until she was able to walk on her own. I get it.
He did.
I did not know that. So that's very, very good. Your daughter has something we should talk about.
Uh-oh.
Talk about the time we almost lost that 6-pounder on that bed.
Oh, where she netted it and it fell off in the net. She caught it.
Quick release.
She caught it.
Yeah, I was bringing it to the boat and the jig flew out and she caught it.
Oh, so she saved
it.
The
was
day.
You remember the old West Point Tournament of Champions?
Yes, I do remember that one.
Yeah.
So she saved the day.
She saved my butt.
Well, there you go.
We finished third in that tournament. I've got a picture of her holding like $3,500 of cash.
How old was she?
I think she was 14 then.
I'd love to have $3,500 in cash in my hand at that age. If there's one angler on the NPFL's current 2025 roster that you have not fished with or met and you would like to, who would it be?
Gerald Swindle.
Swindle?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I used to fish against him back in, he won Angler of the Year, I think the year maybe after I retired or maybe the year I retired in 2003.
Okay.
I think he won Angler of the Year, maybe that year or the next. And then Aaron won it the next year.
Yeah. We'll see if we can make that happen.
Gerald Swindell is just cool.
He is. He's a cool dude. I want to get him on the show.
Clark Winlet's another guy. I think they used to hang out together. Him and Davey Height. Davey Height's great guy. Clark Winlet. I hate to see that Clark retired. I was kind of hoping that Clark would fish these NPFLs. If you're listening, man, come on. Yeah, we'll see if we can make that happen too. We'll do some Clark's
TikToks
one of the great guys at fishing too. When I first started, he had won the All-American, and that guy's a good fisherman.
Now let me ask you this though: if there's one guy on the current NPFL roster in 2025 that you want to beat? Not for spite, but you just want to beat, just testing your competition against him. Who would it be? Like if you beat that guy in a tournament, you're like, I've done something. It's a hard question.
I don't know. Allen Armour.
Yeah, Allen Armour. I heard that he's a tough one.
Yeah,
if you got to beat him.
Yeah, if you can beat him, you're doing something.
You think so? I heard about that guy.
Yeah, heard of that.
I heard about that guy. April Upperman. Did you ever meet Ron Savage at West Point?
Yeah. Yeah, Ron's actually remember the Ron Savage worm?
I do.
It was called.
We're showing our
touchdown
age here
worm.
a lot. You realize that, right?
You know, there's so much history. You know, all the way back to Byron Velvick and all that kind of stuff. You know, the slap herd around the world and all that. But anyway, yeah, I've got some good stories. I mean, when you've been fishing since 1987.
Yeah.
You know, my first boat was in 88. I fished the Redmans, fished the bass, started fishing bass in 93. You know, fished all the way to, and then I fished the first FLW tournaments.
Right.
You know, back when it was called the Golden Blends. You know,
I loved Redman Golden Blend. That's Kevin's. That's Kevin's chew too.
Yeah. So the BFLs were called Redmans, and then they came up with this idea to do kind of a bigger tournament, which kind of grew into the Everstart and the Strand Series. But that was actually called the Redman Golden Blend. Yeah. And I think Peter T won the first one. Pete, you watching? Pete won the first one on Lake Seminole.
Okay.
Yeah. Peter T, now that dude he's a hammer.
He's a hammer.
Yeah. That dude could catch him, man.
Far Dog wants to know, do you modify your jig weed guards at all?
Yes.
Okay. What do you do?
Yeah. It depends on what jig, but I usually open them up. Like I used to cut them at an angle.
Yes.
You know, kind of toward the hook. But I found that I didn't like that as much. So what I do is I spread them out.
Okay.
And then I cut them a little bit shorter, you know, where they barely just kind of can touch.
Barely nip the hook.
But I split them. But then on the front part of it, instead of tapering it, I cut off like maybe 10, 15, depending on the guard. I thin it by cutting the front part of the bristles off.
Really?
Like toward the line tie.
And what made you start doing that?
It just works better that way. You know, when you brush it, when you angle it like that, there's really the end part of the weed guard's longer than the front. Mm-hmm. So the short becomes too stiff. Does that make sense?
It does. Because you shorten it up, it makes it a lot
If you shorten
stiffer.
it too much, it doesn't bend.
Okay.
Like a lot of the pros wouldn't even trim it. And really the only reason to trim it is to get out of the way of the hook. So when it bends down and hits, you know, it hits the hook, you don't want anything kind of catching it. So when I open them up like that, so I put my finger in there, open them up, and then I keep it I bend it open a little bit, and then I cut off like the front bristles.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I do it.
That is.
But on a Phoenix jig, I don't have to do anything. That's the old lunker lures with the bigger, thicker weed guards. And also, it depends on the cover you're fishing. Like if you go down to Florida, you might throw one of those big, heavy grass mat jigs with the double weed guards. You know, You don't want to mess with those. Because, you know, if you're fishing really heavy cover, you know, you almost don't want to trim much of it. Like I would still cut it off shorter and then split them, but I would keep the mass in there so they're still a little stiffer.
That's some good juice right there. Let's see. How about going up a couple? Right there. Tony Watkins wants to know, did you ever know Tommy Jordan from the Redman days?
Tommy Jordan. No, I know Terry Jordan, who is Rob Jordan's dad.
Oh, Rob?
Yo, Robbie?
I know Rob.
Dude, I knew Robbie when he was like 3 years old.
Was he a punk then too?
He
Rob.
wasn't old enough to be a punk yet. But his dad, Terry, was a good friend of mine.
Yeah, okay, that's cool.
So I used to work down in Peachtree City for an architectural firm down there, and he owned a BP gas station. Mm-hmm. And I remember I drove by there to work, and he had a little 340V sitting up there in the parking lot, like in the front of his thing. So I went and introduced myself, and we're still friends today. We don't talk quite as much because he doesn't fish much tournaments. But his son Robbie was just a little kid.
Yeah.
A little guy.
I love how it's a small world.
It is.
Because,
Robbie's he's a good fisherman.
He's good. He can paint some baits, too.
His dad was a good fisherman, too. That guy would win some tournaments on West Point. Like, if that guy, I think if Terry would have decided, there's so many great fishermen that never see the pro tour, no desire. Mm-hmm. Like some guys like Rick Gazaway, you know, that guy, if he focused, he was probably the best fisherman I've ever seen in my life.
They just had no desire to fish.
No, but he dominate here at West Point. Altoona, like the Altoona guys know who Rick Gasaway is. Lanier.
Yeah.
Him and David Millsaps. The Millsaps
I know the
boys.
Millsaps.
Jimmy Millsaps, David Millsaps would fish with
Jimmy
Rick.
fished that TAA.
Jimmy's a great fisherman.
Yeah.
Him and his wife used to fish the buddy tournaments, like the Guys and Dolls, and those HD Marine tournaments. He was there at that, where my daughter won that one.
Any opinion on what can turn West Point around?
Man, we had that big flood back in the early 2000s that destroyed that lake. It just silted it in. Yeah, the best thing for that lake is a jet boat at this point. But I remember, we were talking about the heyday of lakes. These reservoirs are so old now. There needs to be more plans to build more reservoirs for power. They're all this green energy and all this stuff. There's no plans to build any more reservoirs. When these reservoirs hit a certain point, like Lake Jackson, all the decay of all the timber's gone, all the stumps are gone. West Point fluctuates so much. Like when you get up above Ringer Access, there's no river. It's just a big flat silted area. But back in the old days, you had to run the timber, the trees. It was just all standing timber all the way up past New River. Like the whole river was lined with trees. Like it was like Toledo Bend or something, or Seminole.
They're all gone now.
It's the fluctuation is what kills these lakes. Like Eufaula is maintained because it doesn't fluctuate quite as much.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
But West Point and Lanier, they fluctuate so much. Hartwell, like when the water's down, there's not a stump in sight.
Yeah, that's true.
So they've got a lifespan of maybe 18, 20 years. There's just no cover for them to be at. And that's why the front facing sonar dominates so much.
Because you've lost a lot of cover.
The fish are pelagic. They just swim around out there under the bait. There's nothing for them to be on, but West Point used to be amazing. Now there's still a lot of timber down in, I'd say like around Wahakie Creek, White Oak, or Whitewater Creek, the mouth of Yellow Jacket. There's still a lot of that deeper timber. And I think that's the key probably to fishing those lakes now is being out there in that timber where the channels are. And it's a lot like Lanier.
Yeah.
You just need to be around that timber. And West Point has tons of sunken timber, standing timber out there that will still be there. So Ron Savage used to make the touchdown worm, which was basically like a finesse worm or a little skinny trick worm, like a swamp crawler zoom or something, but it was bent in half. And then it had exposed hooks in it, like a hooky worm, but it had like little bitty, like little hooks in it, like double hook, and it had the line through it. And then it had like a little rubber weed guard.
Okay.
You remember those?
I don't.
So it's like an old hooky worm, but they had just like a little rubber appendage that hooked into the tip of the hook like that.
Okay.
And it made it weedless. But when that thing was bent, and the line was wrapped around it, so when you open it out of the package, it would be like an L. So when you
original bent worm,
and also the line was like a spring because it was wrapped cold.
So it would impart movement.
So it had like a 10-pound monofilament line built into the bait. So when you bought it in the package, all the line was wrapped around, all the hooks. So when you pulled out of the bait, the line was like a spring, and then the bait was like an L. So when you move that thing would move so much water. Like when you Carolina rigged it, it would spin.
Really?
But when you stop it, that spring of the line would continue moving it.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it was a deadly lure on West Point. And Ron Savage they put his name on it, but Touchdown Manufacturing is the one that made that.
I know we're about 2 hours in, but I got a lot of questions. You good on time, or
it's like Joe Rogan's show? They go 3 hours.
Okay, as long as it's
I'm sure he'll be calling me after this.
Yeah. Well, Rogan, I got him on speed dial. Pull that one up. Now we heard about Tony Christian. That's the guy that got caught cheating FLW and banned. Do you know him?
No, I don't know him.
So rumor is that he's fishing right there.
I read about him
at
like
only club.
West Point. I think he got caught cheating. Maybe he had some fish tied up to a buoy marker.
I will check it out, Jerry, for you, because most of the electric only clubs post a roster. And we can check them out on Facebook. And if I find that out, I'll let you guys know next Tuesday night.
Brian Kerschel. Yeah. He fished with me. I had the opportunity to fish with Brian Kerschel, the gift, I guess you would say. You know, he won the Classic and was killed that year flying from North Carolina.
Yeah.
Like a small airplane crash. But he fished with me in my boat at Lake Texoma in the Bassmaster Invitational the year before he won the Classic.
Really?
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Amazing, nice young man.
Far Dog's got a good question.
I'm gonna hit Stephen Dubberly's right there first, real quick, because I saw Wobblehead attracted you. Didn't it? I know it did. How deep do you fish this time of year?
2 to 5 feet.
No matter how cold the water is.
Shad Rap.
Which
Shad Rap and jig.
Which Shad Rap do you throw?
Fire Tiger.
Like which number 5?
And that,
number
and that
7?
DT6 is a good one too.
Mm-hmm.
But the Shad Rap's hard to beat this time of year. Or that little the Fire Tiger Rattling Rap, which they've discontinued that. And also jig. You know, that Phoenix.
Stay in shallow.
Stand up. Yeah. Always fish shallow. Especially if it's sunny. There's always a lot of big fish shallow. But you know, with the live scope and everything, it's kind of changed the mentality a little bit on that.
Yeah.
But you have to go to a place like with Tommy Biffle, Danny Brower. We would always go hunt those places where our style would work. Like you don't want to go to the mouth of Shoal Creek and start throwing a Shad Rap.
Yeah, I get what you said.
You
Yeah.
see 10 foot deep, 12 foot deep. You know, they can see the boat and probably watch you cast. So you got to be a little deeper. So it's obviously the conditions. You know, you want to put yourself in more of a place. You want to run up more like Laurel Park, up Chattahoochee, maybe in Limestone
That's
Creek.
a good strategy.
Or Yellow.
Go where you know how to fish.
Yellow Creek, Wahoo, Little River.
Mhm.
You know, and it's kind of an unused technique now.
Yeah, it is.
You know, but there's a lot of big fish, and there's a lot of big largemouth in Lanier.
Yes, there is.
I don't think people realize how big the largemouth are in that place. You just never see them.
That's right.
Live scope kind of makes you understand why you don't see them.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been in some spawning conditions where like I've never seen bigger fish in my life.
Then on in there.
Oh, yeah. But they don't come up shallow anymore. I don't know if you noticed that, but like the old days of just going down the bank in the spring, throwing a trick worm, you know, fish staying up there, pre-spawn, post-spawn, spawn, you know, garden fry, they leave. It's a weird thing that's happened everywhere. Like even Okeechobee, they come up, spawn, they're gone. Like you used to be able to catch fish in Lanier for 4 months. You know, March, the first fish would come up and you catch them, you know, pre-spawn, sunning on the docks, and then you'll catch them spawning. Then you catch another wave up there spawning, and then you catch them garden fry. That's gone away. Like when my girls were little, I could take them for 3 months, like all the way from March, late March, April, all the way through maybe June.
Right.
And catch them spawning. You know, but they're gone. I don't know if they just spawn deep or they spawn and leave or they just spawn out in the deeper water.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but guys that fish Lanier a lot and have fished it for a long time had to have noticed that the fish just don't stay shallow. And it's everywhere.
So not just to Lanier.
Yeah. And that's where it's almost forcing you to have fish like live scope. You know what I mean? Because the fish just don't live where they used to. And I don't know what's happened. You know, they used to stay up there. I mean, you remember when you were a kid. Oh, yeah. You go to Lanier and just go fish the bank, throw a trick worm. You see fish cruising.
Yes.
You know, see fry garters and all that stuff. Like you don't see cruisers like you used to. You see cruisers, just big fish cruising around, you know, and then you try to fish for them. You don't see that like you used to.
The time frame that they do that's not like several months now. Like
I don't know if they even do it.
Like really quick if they do it at all.
Quick.
And if you see them like a Lanier now, like where I was telling you, we saw those big fish at Shoal Creek and all those places, they would bed. Now, when you see them cruising like that, you come back the next day, they're gone. Like you'll even see them paired up. And then they have to be bedding there.
Yeah.
Right. You see them, they're kind of paired up, rubbing on each other. And then the next day you come back, they're gone.
Now I've heard that several times over the last couple of years, guys talking about
I think they get up there where the sun is.
Mm-hmm.
And like it literally looks like there's a legit bed there. And the next day, 2 days later, they're gone.
Yeah.
And both of them. And then they weren't caught. I think they go up there in sun and kind of get things going, and then they move out to like the deeper stumps and maybe 8-10 foot water. And I think they're all spawning out there. Like that's why
very interesting.
You catch those fish on jerk baits, like this big spots will spawn on that like first little dark. You know what I mean?
First drop.
Yeah, and they're just kind of hanging right there. And I think that's where most fish are spawning now. We're like 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, they'd be all up on the banks, you know, up around boat docks, and they just don't stay there anymore.
Okay. Scroll on up a couple. Keep on going. Let's get back because I know Tim wants to hear this one. Far Dog, did you ever get into the wobblehead fishing thing like the Biffle hardhead? And if not, why not?
I've tried it. Yeah, I've tried it.
Don't like
that
it?
Lucky Strike, a little wobblehead. I'm just not a big structure fisherman.
I got what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Tim likes a wobblehead.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't fish it really.
I've
in
got
structure.
some. I have. A
You don't
bunch of-
fish it in structure?
I throw a jig in structure.
Okay, I got you.
Wobblehead, if I can find some rock or shell beds to burn that booger across on the ball,
That's what you do.
they'll eat
It's deadly. So, like out in Midwest, like Table Rock, Mike McClellan was the first guy that kind of showed me how big of a weapon that was. Talking about a good fisherman, that Mike McClellan was a good one. But we were fishing at Bassmasters on Table Rock, and he showed me what he was catching them on. A little football head jig, that wobble head with just like a rage bug on it. And that's where he's catching them all on, just reeling that thing across there.
I got you.
You know, if Tommy Biffle can catch him on something that's not flipping or pitching, it must be a good
There's
bait.
something to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. So you guys are covering the cheater thing up there with the electric only thing. So you guys have that conversation.
What's that cheater thing? In
The Christian guy.
he did
So
electric
he
tournaments too?
yeah, and so Justin Dover said, I think he said it was the Anchor Club.
There's not a hell hot enough for the guys like that.
Yeah, and so they're definitely going about it in the comments section when it comes to that. So you guys got that handled right there. So what's your personal best?
Personal best fish?
Mhm.
11 and a quarter.
11 and a
one.
quarter. Where'd you catch him at?
Caught on Bomber 7A. And my biggest fish I've caught in tournament was 915 in California. Bassmaster Pro Tour.
That's a good one for
Caught on
California.
the California Delta.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very good
915.
one.
Guess who beat me out of big fish?
Who was that?
Just guess.
Roland Martin.
No. He's got the big fish in his name. Bobby Lane.
Really?
He's beat me out of big fish twice. So I fished a Bassmasters on Lake Eufaula, and I locked through the Seminole, and I caught an 815. I come the way in, and everybody's patting me on the back. Oh, you got big fish. Bobby Lane, 915. California Delta,
Yeah.
915,
Yeah.
largemouth.
That's-
He comes in with a 1015. He beat me by exactly a pound both times.
me-
Thanks, Bobby.
How did that make you feel?
Not good. Yeah.
So I say that because I got a buddy here, Keith White. Last year they had what they thought was the winning bag, and he had it was like almost 7-pound largemouth in an electric tournament on Lanier, and they had gone through the field, and he's like, "We got this." And then the very last two guys to weigh in beat them out by a pound on total weight, and he beat them out by like half a pound on big fish. And he said that was one of the biggest kick in the nuts he's ever had, just because you think you got it. And that fish, especially on Lanier, is not weighed in that often.
Yeah.
And so they thought they had it like that. So have we caught up with questions?
Luke Duncan.
Yeah, so they were talking about it on Luke Duncan. Allen, one rod, one reel for a day of fishing. What's on the end of it?
Jig.
Jig.
Yeah.
That's a very I kind of figured
I'd say
say
if
that.
I had to have one jig, it would be a 5/8 ounce Phoenix stand-up casting jig with that 6/0 EWG hook in it with a green pumpkin packer crawl.
Okay, that's a good choice. That's a good choice.
That's what I if I had to have one bait. That's what I would
all of
throw.
our I
You
don't
can
know
swim
how to
that
fish with
thing.
the jig fans probably just fell out.
Yeah, I
'Cause
know.
There's so many of them.
Well,
are always
that
commenting.
Phoenix jig is a quality jig.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that thing's amazing. Like on Lanier, last two checks I made on it were with that jig. Brown hand tied with purple flash. And it's got the kind of medium rubber on it.
Imagine that.
Brown hand tied living rubber,
Yeah.
which not many companies do that anymore.
No, you don't
so
see
Robert
that
Schneider
anymore.
over at Phoenix, they'll customize those lures for you. And but it is a quality jig. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing's beautiful.
What
It's perfect.
what our comment is like I tie jigs too. And for my Lanier guys, Carter's guys, any of these North Georgia reservoirs, I keep pounding over and over. And it's got to have purple in it.
I love the purple flash.
It's got to have purple in you. Can you catch them on other colors? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're far more consistent with purple in your jig, regardless of what the other main color is. Because I tie one that's green pumpkin barbed wire with purple in it. And that's probably next to Farmer Special, my
I
best
love
seller.
purple and blue.
Got to have purple in it.
Yeah.
Any issues with hookup ratio with a wobble head? So, Tim, you fish a lot more than I guess anybody here. You got any problems hooking it up?
No, the main thing with a wobblehead is when you're burning it, they're chasing it, they're going to pick it up and slackline you.
So you burn it like real fast? You don't just drag it on the bottom?
Either way.
You run it like a rattler trap?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Maybe that's why I didn't catch them on it.
If you can get some rock and it's warm enough water, smoke it.
Really?
Smoking the wobblehead.
Go heavy and smoke it. 3/4 and burn it.
I got you.
Instead of looking at it, it comes smoking through their territory.
What trailer do you use for that thing?
Usually a Missile Baits D-bomb or a Zoom Z-Crawl.
But it still kind of has that good action to it.
The D-bomb has a lot more action and it'll stay down more.
Oh, okay.
The Z-Crawl is fatter and it'll tend to want to fly or float.
Tim can't leave the PFA over there. That's what he's saying like that. No,
it got me. It got me 10th place in the tournament with 4 fish on tuna and mud.
Yeah, no, he has talked about that a lot.
Yeah, it works.
What's your favorite shad spawn bait?
Oh boy, man, that's a tough one.
You'll throw a Seville or anything like that? I know a lot of guys will throw it during the spawn, shad spawn, or those type of baits.
God, I love a buzz bait that time of year.
Buzz bait gets brought
big
up.
Fish, and a lot of guys aren't throwing it quite yet.
Yeah.
Spinner bait gets hit a lot, but they don't really commit to it. I use a spinner bait to kind of find them more, but you'll see the shad come up or whatever.
They slap at it,
but they don't hit that spinner bait as much. Like a little crankbait, I think is really good. Like a what's that Berkeley crankbait? The Fritz side. Like that, and like a chrome blue or some kind of shad pattern. That bait seems to work really good for me that time of year. The good thing about the crankbait is that they can slap it. The bass can slap at it and they get hooked.
Right. Yeah.
Jerk bait's always good. But I don't know.
Just whatever's happening that day.
Whopper plopper's good.
Oh my gosh! Now all of a sudden, now we got problems.
Sorry,
he had me with Van Halen and Eddie and all that. It's been a great show. He's talked about everything. I've enjoyed the conversation. And
I
he
just
brings
think
out
the
the
big
damn
fish
whopper
like the
plopper.
top water, so it's like a buzzbait substitute.
I understand. I hate the whopper plopper.
You hate it?
There's a story behind it.
Oh, tell me a story.
You want to know the story?
Yeah.
These guys have heard it, but first electric tournament, my partner came out. It was 17 degrees. We're over on Hickory Log. We're going through ice. And about 9 o'clock that morning, I hear this thing go, with that little DC, and I'm like, all right. And he kept, I finally turned around and said, what the hell are you throwing? And it wasn't a little bitty whopper plopper. It was just
120.
It was
135.
135.
It was huge.
That original one.
It was huge.
Like the striper bait.
He threw that thing every tournament that year and never got a damn bite on it one time. But he committed to it like you did to the other stuff. I got so sick of hearing that damn noise from that whole year that
he didn't catch him on it.
He didn't get a bite.
Sound like Billy, you watched this?
My
brother would do that kind of stuff. He'd throw like the off the wall thing. So I don't want to throw what you're throwing, and I'm catching them on a half ounce rabbit.
It's like when you're catching fish and your buddy's back there and you're like, there's the pack, man.
So he never caught him on that 135?
Stuff.
Even on the ice?
Listen, we were on smaller lakes like Latham and all. We weren't, hell no, he didn't catch on it. And
you didn't make him change? You couldn't do it? You don't have any pool?
I made jokes at him. I said stuff, told him I was going to get him a damn whopper plopper T-shirt, just everything.
That's a buddy tournament, right?
Yeah.
You're like a team.
Oh, yeah, we were.
Yeah.
I could have thrown him out of the boat. I love him to death.
He's like quarterback
my brother.
that's throwing it the wrong direction.
Every single time. And the bad thing about it was he threw it on that daggum Corrado or whatever that is. Like,
so you're listening to that DC sing every time.
A little 3-ball bearing one.
Good Lord. It was just it was awful. Jerry Catula says, have to give you guys props. I asked questions about jig fishing before. Use your suggestions and caught a couple yesterday. Thanks.
Outstanding.
Well, I'm so glad you were watching. And I'm glad you were able to take something and make it happen. What top water do you like to throw? I'm going to say buzz bait is going to be the one you're saying.
I love top water, but like a regular top, I love shower blows.
Shower blows for like out there?
Love it.
Well, you can put your damn hand down. Alex is back there cheering him on shower blows and all that.
What size? What size you like?
What size shower blow you like to throw?
I like the 120.
You like the big one? Okay.
Yeah, the little one, like on Lanier, they just like that bigger bait for some reason. It's a 120, right?
I think it's a 125.
125.
Yeah.
And the small one's like a 90.
They got a 88, 105, and a 125.
105. Yeah, the 105 is good too. but I've caught 1,000 more fish on that 125. Full metal jacket, the chrome one.
Yeah,
was my favorite.
I got a question before I let you go. As far as buzz baits, any particular color on something
White.
like Lanier? You're a white.
White.
Yeah, because I hear guys are either in one or two camps. It's white or it's black.
I never liked the black.
So you like the white.
Now, if I go to Lake Okeechobee,
yeah,
where black, blue, purples, all that.
Yeah.
Like if you're in tannic water, I love the black. But like when you're around, this is something that's really important. Is you can't throw a lunker lure or buzz bait in Florida because it's going to get hung up. You want one of those like what's that little head knocker kind of thing called Booger Man.
Yeah.
Booger
So
Man.
like a 1/8 ounce or a 1/4 ounce Booger Man. Like a Barry Maynard and I caught him on like a 1/4 ounce Booger Man at Lake Wheeler around all that grass and eel grass and all that. So you want a shorter shaft buzz bait where the blade's kind of closer to the head when you're around hydrilla, lily pads, things like that. Roland and I fished on Lake Okeechobee and I was throwing an 1/8 ounce black blue Booger Man with a little dipper black blue on it. And we were crushing them on that thing.
You have been Alex approved back there. He's giving you the old head nod a
A
lot.
couple bags of black and blue little.
The little
dippers at the
1/8 ounce
house.
one.
Yeah,
Goes
little
over.
small
And
one.
it has a little more of a subtle kind of kick to it. You want to make sure it's hitting the head, obviously.
Right.
Now it's got a little bit of a smaller hook on it.
Yeah.
But there's other companies that have that. Booger Man's back out now.
Okay.
But that kind of bait, it's a situational thing, right? But my favorite buzz bait is a lunker lure buzz bait with a big blade on it.
Okay. Last question for tonight. Far Dog. You guys have been fantastic tonight.
Absolutely.
What is your line and reel speed set up for flipping jigs and football head jigs? Like the size of your rod, your line, everything.
I like a 7.5 or 8 foot.
You
And
go
it's
longer.
It's all conditional. The smallest rod I'll use for pitching a jig 7.5.
Okay.
Because I'm very versatile in the way I fish. Am I too close enough?
No, you're good.
I'm very versatile in the way I fish. So I want to be able to skip cast left-handed, right-handed. I want to be able to pitch right and left-handed. And I also want to be able to flip. So that's a big difference in the dynamic of the way I fish. That's why I use longer rods.
Okay.
So I'll have 3, when I'm fishing a jig, I'll have at least 2 or 3 8-foot rods out there. And I use Daiwa Steez flipping sticks. I used to use Castaway 7.5 foots. I still use that old rod from the mid 90s. I still use that for like swim bait fishing.
Yeah.
Like if I skip a skinny, because it has more parabolic bend to it.
Right.
The Steez has just enough. It doesn't have a real fast tip on it like a Loomis or something. It has a little more of a overall bend,
Right.
which I like better. I don't like fast tips because I like to throw hard. I don't like the rod to do the work for me as much, so I've always used stiffer rods. But I usually use, like for my half ounce jig and up, I always use the 8-foot flipping stick.
Okay.
And I've got a Steez heavy action. It's kind of more of a casting flipping stick. And I use that for that swim bait rod. And then sometimes I'll use a 7-foot if I'm just skipping like chatter baits and things like that, or just a lighter swim jig. So it's basically conditional to the weight of the lure.
Right.
If I'm pitching, flipping a lot, I always want to have an 8-foot. If I'm just skipping boat docks or skipping willow trees, or like if I'm up the river, but the great thing about the length, it gives you leverage. So it allows you to load. So when I pitch and flip a bait, it is kind of like a fly rod.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I
analogy.
actually load it and I let the weight of the bait load the rod, and I actually let it, it's kind of like a fly rod. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I pull it real fast out of the water and load it. And then, so I don't have to do so much arm action.
Yeah.
So that's a big key, that, allowing that lighter bait to get skipped out there really far and fast. But I love the longer the rod, the better for me.
What about your
and
line?
always braid.
Always braid.
Yeah. Always braid.
With no leader, or
No leader.
just straight when you're
No.
flipping in?
Very seldom do I ever do a leader on flipping rod, jigs, any of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
The only time I'll change to like a heavy fluorocarbon is if I feel like I'm spooking the fish. Like if you're flipping mats, you can kind of hear the line sawing. But there's some of the newer braids that I've been buying from Japan, they're smoother.
Yeah.
But like the old braids where you could hear it sawing on the mats, like in Florida, if you're fishing these big reed mats and things, I kind of feel like that may spook them a little bit.
Yeah.
So then I would go to like a 25-pound fluorocarbon in that case. but
Yeah.
usually it's all braid for me.
Okay.
I've just never been a big line shy, worrying about fish seeing they already know the bait's not real. I mean, you know that on live scope.
Yeah.
The fish, the most realistic bait you can throw out there, you'll have 1,000 fish following that thing, no matter what you do to it. Right. I mean,
That's
it's
right.
just thing looks so real.
Yeah.
How come they're not eating it? You know what I mean? It's just, so I don't think the line makes that much difference. Like when I'm bed fishing, I usually throw 15 to 20 pound line on bed fish.
Okay.
And I'll probably use fluorocarbon on like when I'm bed fishing, in clear water. But a lot of times, like if I see a big fish there, I have 50-pound braid with the biggest jig I can throw at them. Like Santilla, first fish on the beds, I'm going to throw biggest line I've got, biggest rod. Yeah.
Okay. I believe you.
I'll mess around with them suckers.
I believe you. Well, I tell you what, Alan, listen, I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. There was a comment up there by your buddy about let's get you through 2 or 3 of these NPFL
I can survive
tournaments and have you back on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
If you're,
it'd be a pleasure.
Open invitation
absolutely.
anytime.
So I'm definitely going to write that down.
More parabolic. I love it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Hey, that 5'1" Zebco 202 is Jig King setup right there.
Yeah, it's a funny story. There was a guy named Jamie Yancey that lives out in Louisiana, and he bet my friend Dana Walker that he could outskip me. You remember Woo Daves? He won the classic.
Oh, yeah.
So, taking that 202. So the guy bet my friend $100 that he could outskip me. And, you saw the comment earlier.
Yeah.
Nobody could outskip me. And I'm just saying that as modest as I can say it.
No,
but when I was on my game, I could skip 70, 80 feet in a spot this big. You know what I mean? And so it's like, so this guy bets me, and he bets me side bet with him. He bet me $100. And so we get out there and we get to the first boat dock. And I said, what are you doing? He said, yeah, I'm going to outskip you with like a 202. And he gets in there, he goes, pew, shoots that thing under there. And it goes like, I don't know, 30 feet, maybe 20 feet, something like that. I said, oh, all right. How many? I said, why don't you try that again? He goes, oh, you're not going to beat that. And I said, man, just get out there as far as you can. You know what I mean? Right. So Dana's over laughing. Pew, shoots out there, gets to like 32 feet. I said, okay. I said, you want me to do it left-handed or right-handed? So I said, I don't care what hand you do it. You're not beating that. So I did a left-handed one. And I looped that. And I was throwing a 7.5-foot castaway flipping rod with a 1/2 ounce Lunker Lure rattleback jig with probably a number 1 pork on it back then. There weren't great trailers back then. I skipped that thing like 80 feet under this dock and it hit the seawall back there. And Dana goes, you don't want him to do it right-handed.
He gave you a handicap.
Yeah.
Store.
And then that guy, he's one of them betting guys. So so I used to play racquetball tournaments before this, way before tennis.
It doesn't surprise me.
So I used to play racquetball tournaments and I was pretty good at it. And so this guy found out how to play racquetball. So he already lost his bet on the skipping thing. So he's going to get me back on this racquetball. So he finds some guy, like Danny. He's like a world-class racquetball player. He wants to play you. He plays in college and all this stuff. And I said, okay, we'll play. So we get there, and I said, I'll tell you what, double or nothing, he doesn't score a point. He goes, man, you're out of your mind. Yeah, I beat him 15-0 3 times in a row.
Renaissance man. Not only can we play tennis, racquetball, pickleball.
All right, if you're out there watching, buddy.
That is awesome. Well, I will tell you what, listen, I absolutely loved you as a guest. I'm so privileged to get to meet you tonight and you coming up here again. I'm like, how do I not know this guy? But now, I'm like, I got to know this guy better. So definitely want you to come back on. Let's get you through a couple of them tournaments.
Wayne Pittman.
Definitely the best skipper I've ever seen. He taught me well. He needs to get on with Farmer. Jonathan Farmer's, and he's in the comment section. He's the best skipper I've ever seen in person. He's one of those. I saw him skip a scrounger, little bitty hole.
A spinning rod.
I don't know what it might have been on Baitcaster knowing Farmer, but he went through a hole, about like what you're talking about, one side of the boat dock, all the way through the same hole on the other side of the boat dock, and it went and then fished it through. And I'm sitting there like, let me try. Bang! I can't skip it all.
All right, that I wouldn't bet him on a scrounger skip.
He can skip a scrounger like I've never
bet he'll whip
seen.
my butt on that thing.
Well, I don't know, but I think it'd be really cool for you
he
to
throws
do
on
that.
Baitcaster.
One of the best shows, hands down. Love the juice. Awesome guest. Wish I could have been in studio now. Well, we're gonna have him back, Tony. Tony runs my board as well. So
is that Tony? No, that's Alex.
That's Alex. So Alex and Tim and Tony, switch out running the boards depending on who's here and everything. And I could not do this show without them. They're the ones that keep me in check
It's
as
gotten
well.
so big, we have to have a crew now, not just,
big
just a
time.
handful.
Yeah. So if you can reach
You
out,
got to start paying your guests.
well, seriously, if you can reach out and get me those guys like Crown Royal, use some of your contacts in the business, hell, I'll pay you
My
all.
wife's like, why don't you get the Crown Royal?
Yeah,
Right.
She's
exactly
about tired
how
of me spending entry fee money.
I understand. But thank you very much for coming there.
It's nice to meet you.
Well, I'm going to give you that. I absolutely enjoyed it, and I cannot wait to have you back. Guys, I know just in the comments you enjoyed this show, so appreciate James Watson stopping by earlier. Allen was absolutely one of the best guests, and I cannot wait because I think he's probably got a million other stories that we could get
We
into.
got a few of them,
So especially you name dropped a lot of names tonight. So there are guys out there that really like that stuff. So I appreciate you guys coming tonight. I got another NPFL angler from the local area coming next Tuesday night, and we'll talk about him more on the Facebook and
Who is
everything. He's a new one, another new one, and he's from Blue Ridge, and his name is escaping me right now. I got it written down over there. I went to the NPF roster and I saw Georgia.
Well, I screwed up calling you out on it.
No, hell, I don't care. Everybody knows I can't remember shit.
Man, those buzzbaits. I need some of those lure knockers you make.
I don't make them.
Well, you sell them here.
The money lure, money saver.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm getting some of those.
What? Hell, it's on my phone. Bring me my phone so I can tell everybody.
I need to check out some of your little custom baits, man.
Oh, listen, I tell you what. So,
My wife's like, I think you've got enough baits, honey.
yeah, Baron Adams.
Oh, Baron, yeah.
Yeah.
I know
So
that dude.
okay, well, he's another one I'm going to meet for the first time Tuesday night. So,
Yeah.
going to have him down and everything. So,
See if he can get on our pickleball team.
we need.
You're going to
get,
captain that. I'm not captain that. I've got too much tennis stuff going on.
No, hell no. You already committed to it. I got it
did?
on, you did. I got it on
Captain or
tape.
trainer, I mean,
Alex.
you got to have a position.
Alex,
of some
we
sort.
can pull that shit back up. You said I'll captain it.
I'll play on it.
I've never played pickleball before. I think it'd be fun to try.
It's a lot. You play ping pong, right?
I can play the hell out. Well, I used to could play the hell out of some ping pong.
If you can play
Used
ping
to.
pong, you'll love pickleball. You'll love it.
Can you cheat though?
Yes.
Okay, good. If you can
That's
cheat in it, I'm all
You
for
can
it.
play with that Tony Christensen guy,
So-
or whatever his name is.
Cody Campbell, you come by and see us and all that. Also, love the show of the high schoolers the other night. Yeah, they were good. So, but we got Baron Adams coming next Tuesday. I talked to Christine Fisher today. We're going to have her on very soon. Going to have some other big names coming by. So, going to try to branch out. But Allen's local, and that's what I love about this. Like, I got your number now. You probably should have
He's
never
like,
gave
how
me
do I
that
not
number.
know you?
I really,
I've been
honestly,
hiding, man. It's like I told him earlier. I said that, I don't want people to know I'm out fishing tournaments when my customers are wanting
you're
some
supposed to be
house
working.
designs.
You're
You know what I
supposed to be working. I got that. So, guys, we're going to let him go home tonight. It's been a long show, but a great show, and I appreciate you guys hanging with us. If you're going fishing this weekend, first, like I tell you every week, be safe and enjoy yourself while you're out there. We love you guys. We'll see you next week. That was awesome, dude.
mean?